Hello, SpeedGaming 3, and welcome to the premiere match of the 2020 1v1 SMZ3, also known as Super Metroid and A Link to the Past Combo Randomizer Tournament. I am
I'm so
Mind of
excited.
Me. Yeah, Jaeger can't even hold in his excitement. How you doing today?
I'm doing well. Uh, I'm kind of new to the combo randomizer, but I played the games for many years, and I'm so excited to see these getting tournaments.
It's a really fantastic randomizer, and here we go. As you can tell, if you're new to the combo randomizer, what it is we've taken the Zelda randomizer, we've taken the Super Metroid randomizer, we've placed them together so that Zelda items can be in Metroid, Metroid items can be in Zelda, but they don't have to be. The worlds are connected by 4 doors, and
Ooh,
we can see Bioniclegenius checking one of those doors right now.
got a divergence already. Duck's going for the 2 items in Super Metroid that you could get right off the bat, which is most people don't like doing that because there are a lot of items surrounding those 2 that you just cannot get until you have more equipment, which uh, A Link to the Past usually provides real early.
And this tournament is also being run on normal logic, where if Duck doesn't find a high jump boots or speed booster in this location, the second item will be out of logic. But that hook shot is a nice
Yeah,
find.
that's pretty good. That's a gamble a lot of people like to make, just getting the 2 items immediately. I mean, they could always be very important items. You never know.
We see a pack of supers up there. You know what? Since Duck doesn't want to reset that hook shot, he's going to grab them anyway, doing the D-boost. While Bioniclegenius is doing the hula hand play, this is a camera unlock glitch that puts you into this fail-safe room with 255 rupees.
It's pretty funny. Basically, the game associates entrances based on where the camera position is for reasons, because Nintendo is a little silly sometimes. And if you have the screen just scrolled a little bit off, it'll have no idea where to put you, so it just dumps you in uh, a debug cave.
Yeah, and you can see Bioniclegenius buying some bombs from that bomb shop. This will probably be a play up to Sahasrara's hut. This is a very interesting play. We've seen it from a lot of runners recently, thinking that, well, everybody goes to Kakariko early, so I'm going to go and check some of these other Spear 1 locations first.
Yeah, bombs and rupees are generally what players want immediately when they start A Link to the Past of any kind of randomizer. And it's, finding a good way to get each of those is, uh, I mean, people will route in Houlihan just to be able to buy bombs freely. Well, I mean, for the cost of 50 rupees, I guess it's technically not free, is it?
No, not for sure, but it does give Bioniclegenius a few more routing options. Duck, starting at Link's
Uh-oh.
house, and okay, he remembered he's got to open up that chest.
And it's just super missiles, but still, it always feels bad when you walk past a chest and think you opened it.
And we saw a map check. We saw 2 pendants in the light world with a green pendant at Hera and the blue pendant at Desert.
Oh, that's a little unfortunate. It's always nice to have light world crystals because they're the shorter dungeons in the game. And there are far fewer requirements for the light world dungeons as well. So they're going to need quite a bit to finish the game.
Duck using good use of that hook shot to check our stun prize as well as stunning the guards, but the uncle doesn't have much of anything for us today. Duck getting his sword himself. Bioniclegenius finding some nice cash in the woods.
So the first big use of money is going to the bottle vendor in Kakariko pretty early. We'll see that in a bit. It's gonna cost 100 rupees, and then throughout the game, we're gonna want to farm like 700 or so more rupees for various other things throughout the game.
Things like Zora, entrance to pod, the chest game, the digging game, big bomb, potions, and sometimes even having to farm up rupees for the smith chain. In SMZ3, there's
Sort of.
Yeah. So there's still the same number of rupees in the pool, but because it's spread over an extra 100 checks, sometimes they can be a little bit sparse in the early game.
Mm-hmm. We see this similar thing with Key Sanity in A Link to the Past alone, where a lot of the money can be more likely in dungeons. So having early cash is pretty important.
We find the space jump in Blind Hut. That is a very nice early game Super Metroid item to have. The earlier you can get the space jump, the better it is.
Yeah. It's gonna save a lot of time over the course of the run as well, because wall jumps, wall jumps are technically faster, but only if you have a wall to jump off. There are a lot of open rooms throughout Super Metroid to just jump through.
Alright, Duck checking the back of the tavern. Only missiles. But the well giving us the magic mirror, that's incredibly useful. As well as an early bottle. And a shovel. That mirror will be, along with the hookshot, will be fantastic once we get Death Mountain access. That will give us access to check almost all of Light Death Mountain.
Power bombs are always nice. I mean, I don't know if they're worth 100 rupees, but you were gonna spend the money anyway.
And we get a second pack right there in the chicken hut. Ideally, the runners... Almost got that chicken clip. Ideally, you'd like to have 10 power bombs to do some Brinstar routing. And over the game itself, you'd like 15 in total in case Ice Beam doesn't show up for the Metroid Centurion.
Or if you're feeling really saucy, you could do some crystal flashes in Lower Norfair.
We'll have to see if it comes to that. Crystal flashes are absolutely allowed, but never required. Like we said before, this is normal logic. So a lot of the more difficult Super Metroid trips, like heck runs and lava dives, suitless Meridia, very tricky wall jumps, mock balls, not required. The only slightly tricky thing that you'll have to do is an infinite bomb jump, since the game can require you to do that.
Yeah, pretty much anything that's shown off in the game's demo screen, which I guess includes crystal flashing, but that's just for like if you're in a pinch and you're low on health.
Alright, Bioniclegenius not going to follow that shovel right away. Instead is going to the South Shore. Pretty standard Link to the Past opening.
I like to try to avoid the dam until going to Swamp Palace, just because you can route it in like together, but this is a Sphere 1 location, so you kind of want to check it right away.
And in it, we find the Spazer. That's a fantastic thing, again, to find early. The later you find it, the less useful it is. In Super Metroid, you cannot have both the Spazer and the Plasma being equipped. So if you find Plasma first, the Spazer is absolutely useless.
Yeah, the Plasma is immensely stronger than the Spazer.
But
I
on
want to
the
say
other
it's
hand,
like 4 times as strong or something, roughly.
but on the other hand, the Spazer is much more powerful than the standard power beam.
Absolutely. Speed booster, very nice.
And a
Cape,
cape.
ice rod.
And an ice rod. That's a fantastic mini Moldorm cape.
Yeah, that's really good. A lot of players called this the original hype cave.
So with that speed booster, it does give us access to a couple more checks in Super Metroid without the Morph Ball. The worst feeling is if it only finds something that leads to the Morph Ball, but
Ooh.
hello!
That is a nice jawbreaker in the ground.
Absolutely. Finding Moon Pearl early is a good feeling. Sometimes in these kinds of combo seeds, it can be buried deep inside Super Metroid progression. But yeah, with that speed booster, it can lead us to places deeper inside Metroid. We can get all the way to Pink Brinstar and check the charge missile's location. The best feeling is if you find the Morph Ball there. The worst feeling is you find something else that's important and you gotta walk all the way out again.
Mm-hmm. It always feels pretty bad. I think I found Book down there once.
Oh, that's gross. Did it at least lead directly to your Moon Pearl, or was it a really long
yeah.
or to your Morph
It
Ball?
did. I just had to walk all the way back through Brinstar.
Bioniclegenius doing the Hyrule Castle checks. We'll be able to follow this up with a clear of Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, that's good. With a sword in hand, it'll be pretty easy.
And Duck doing the play that we often see some runners do is comboing Swamp Palace with Agina. Agina and Ice Rod Cave are the two most isolated checks on the map, so if you can combo Agina with the dam and then combo Mini Moldorm with Ice Rod Cave and Fake Flippers, it feels like you're saving a little bit of time and being more efficient in your checks.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of saving time, I noticed he's doing some what's called air pumping. In A Link to the Past, your walking speed alternates between 1 and 2 pixels per frame. And if you're facing left and up, it starts at 2 pixels, and you could reset it just by changing directions. So what he's doing is, as he's walking left, he's just mashing up repeatedly for a chance to reset his speed over and over.
Find another pack of power bombs. We are up to 4 packs found so far. And yeah, Duck is a very accomplished NMG runner, very comfortable with pumping and other, early game and late game strats in Link to the Past. Bioniclegenius did find the Hyrule Castle sewer key in the first chest, so these 2 chests will be in logic.
There it is, plasma. Okay, that I was gonna say wide beam. The Spazer is now pretty much irrelevant. That's nice.
Yep, that is nice. Both of our runners are on track to get that. They will have to, however, remember to turn on the plasma beam once they go back into Super Metroid.
Yeah, in order to avoid conflict between Spazer and Plasma, each one of those have to be turned on if found in A Link to the Past.
The game can do some bad but also wonderful things if you have them on at the same time. Usually bad things. You have to be very careful with the combination.
Almost always a crash, but sometimes it can do constant damage to everything in the room.
Yes.
Assuming the game continues running.
All right, Bioniclegenius on his way to pick up the Moon Pearl. We're not entirely out of checks in Link to the Past yet. That early hook shot that Duck got from Blue Bryn is not going to pay out immediately, but I have a feeling that we're going to find either our Death Mountain access or our Morph Ball in Brinstar. What are you thinking, Jaeger?
Morph Ball and Brinstar. That's actually pretty likely at this point. With a speed booster in tow. I mean, A Link to the Past has a lot of Sphere 1 checks, so it's very, very, very likely for Morph Ball to be there, but I mean, there's always a chance. When you get speed booster or screw attack, Morph Ball could be down in Brinstar for sure. And that's the play Bioniclegenius is going to make here.
All right. So with this speed booster, he can do that nice pseudo screw. There will be 3 items in logic. This Terminator item, which is a whole 5 rupees. I'm sure he'll pick that up on his way back to Turian, no matter how hard he tried to avoid it right there.
Yeah.
Duck doing the Dark Sewers check. Not required by logic, but sometimes you can find something fun in the dark. With the sword beams, it's fairly easy to navigate.
Yeah, in crossover rando, this room absolutely requires the lamp in order to place anything important here. In newer versions of the Link to the Past standalone randomizer, it can potentially require Fire Rod for you to light the torches to see your way, but that's not quite up to date in combo rando yet.
Just an E-tank here, and I misspoke. There are 5 checks here in Brinstar that we can do. These 2 in early supers, and 2 more in big. And Duck is going to go and take that castle key and go all the way to the back. These 3 chests will be in logic with either the glove or the lamp.
To note, it also requires the small key in logic. And there's the glove in the potentially glove lock location. It's really good to find. And there's the Morph Ball, as you called it, right there in Brinstar.
Exactly. That's a great place to find it. It's going to be a little awkward going back to check behind Brinstar Reserve, but it's not too bad of a detour, and you can check Edecoons on the way. But with that glove, Apathy has an option to make a huge sequence break here up Death Mountain. And it may delay him getting that Morph Ball.
Yeah, that's very true. This will give him access to Upper Norfair. However, it only gives him access to 1 item in Upper Norfair, that being the missile before high jump boots. And that may just cost him time, straight up.
He will, however, have access to 3 items on West Death Mountain in the Old Man Rescue, inside Spectacle Rock, top of Spectacle Rock. Whatever is in Tower of Hera that's not fire locked, as well as the 8 items on East Death Mountain.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it's difficult to say if any of those will be as useful as the Morph Ball.
Absolutely. So sequence breaking is a thing that can save you a lot of time, but it can also bypass some items that you may just eventually need anyway, and knowing what you're skipping is very important for routing and randomizers in general.
So one thing that Bioniclegenius will have to decide when he's doing this Brinstar, after he finishes checking Spore Spawn and the Edecoons, is does he go and check Blue Bryn, or does he continue on to Red Tower? What are you thinking, Yager?
Blue Brinstar or Red Tower? I would prefer going up Red Tower. but it's really, really close. I mean, I just like climbing Red Tower. Even though he doesn't have Ice Beam, it's probably not recommended, actually. Even though he has Space Jump, the Rippers will kind of be annoying. You could kill him with supers, but it just costs time. So maybe it's not necessarily a smart play. I just like sequence breaking.
All right, Grapple Beam in Paradox Cave, but that's about it. Bioniclegenius goes and sets up for the Wavegate glitch.
Nice. Okay.
Got it third time. This
It's
again is
tricky.
not required but in normal logic, but it does prevent backtracking, which is a great thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's a... I mean, there's a setup for it. You can, like, turn inside the door, and turning will move you a couple pixels to either side, but he just gets it with just tapping forward and jumping, and whatever works will work.
And look how many E-tanks. He's got 5 E-tanks right now.
That's pretty great.
So, looks like he is going to go and make his way up to Blue Bryn. This is really great. He'll get that hook shot, and he'll be able to full clear criteria. Duck doing the slow walk through Paradox Cave. There's a question in chat if Grapple Beam leads to anything that Space Jump does not. Just one check, and that is the Spring Ball location, also known as Shack Tool.
The alternative to that using grapple is just using ice to clip through, but he doesn't have ice, so well, either way, he's hoping there's nothing there because it's really, really out of the way.
Exactly, and it's totally out of logic unless we get our gravity suit, and he would need the morph ball as well. All right, nothing inside or on top of Spectacle Rock, so this sequence break up Death Mountain will only pay off for Duck if there's something in Hera or something at that high jump boost location.
So does anybody like Space Jump in Super Metroid? It's really difficult to use.
It's really awkward timing your button presses, and especially if you do accidentally bounce off a wall and trigger a wall jump animation, it can sometimes be more difficult than just doing the standard wall jump.
You have to fall quite a ways before you're able to jump again, and if you fall too far, then you can't jump again anyway.
All right, nothing in the front basement of Hera, and we get that big key. But it looks like Duck is going to opt to use the Hera pot glitch to clip into the pot and take a shortcut up to the top floor. It's very risky if you don't have the big key, but when you do have the big key and can pull off this double pixel perfect glitch, it saves a ton of time.
Yeah, to be fair, once you get used to Space Jump, you can Space Jump. It's just, it feels bad when you're new to the game. Especially when you're playing A Link to the Past at least half the time. And you're just used to different controls entirely.
And we have a map and the compass on the upstairs floor of Hera, so what Duck would not want to see, he does not want to see the small key drop from Moldorm. He would like to see that small key locked in the basement and get that second item and the green pendant from Moldorm. And Bioniclegenius, other than that hookshot, not too much else in Blue Bryn, starting his criteria checks. Killing those yellow groups to go and take care of the speed booster, the shaft supers.
And Duck makes pretty good work of Moldorm.
Only a pair of missiles in Tower of Hera, but Duck does get the first boss kill and the green pendant. That'll be an additional item for him. Finding Quake at Shaft Supers, that may be useful.
Yeah. For sure.
No, there is no item in the basement of Hera. The lobby had missiles and Moldorm had missiles.
It helps a lot to count items throughout dungeons, knowing that the remaining chests are just either a map or a compass can save you a lot of time in a lot of places.
And nothing at high jump missiles. So that sequence break up the mountain did not pay off for Duck. Is gonna have to go back to Mini Moldorm Cave for that speed booster and make his way into Brinstar following Bioniclegenius.
Ooh, Screw Attack is a very nice find. It just basically makes combat a non-issue throughout Super Metroid. Just jump into enemies, literally. Like so.
Okay, Duck
Very
is
nice Alcatraz escape.
Duck starting here back at the sewers escape is gonna do a different setup for the Houlihan. Bioniclegenius just missed that speed booster into the gauntlet. Gonna save and refill his health. Do it one more time.
Might as well get back 19 power bombs while he's at it.
So Duck gonna go and make that same play to Sahasrara, turn in that green pendant, and if the green pendant doesn't lead to anything, and the we know the back of Sahasrara doesn't lead to anything, may dip into Pendant Eastern.
Careful with that acid, it drains energy real fast.
Oh, hello! That's the Titan's Mitts. So Duck has Dark World access, which...
Wow.
So our Titan's Mitts are behind the green pendant. That's 100% required.
That's a real
but
good
he's
find.
Gonna be... It's a good find, but he's gonna put off that Morph Ball even longer now, because getting to Mini Moldorm Cave from the Titan's Mitt Dark World location is a long trek. And he may also be going and checking Dark Death Mountain with that hookshot.
Yeah, it's true. It will put off Morph Ball for a real long time, but it's also a place that's that if Bioniclegenius opens up too much of a link to the past, he may just put that off. He may just put off Green Pendant for a while, knowing that it's a pendant dungeon and isn't necessarily required, except this time it is.
Does mean that that Sash glove could have been our logical first glove, and the ones in Escape are Titan's Mitts. We find our second red 5/6 crystal at Pod, and our last pendant is at Ice Palace.
Okay.
As long as we find the flute, that green pendant will be in Logic. And Gauntlet not leading to much of anything, but Bioniclegenius is going to go and pick up that heart piece. Has a couple of options now. Can do Wreck Ship, or could go down Red Tower.
So with just Mitts being, just Ice Palace being pendant, we're basically going to need just about every A Link to the Past item in the game. I mean, we don't quite know what the medallion requirements are for Turtle Rock and Misery Mire. Those are randomized. We know where Quake is, and that's it.
Exactly. There's nothing stopping both of them from being Quake, but it's also nothing stopping them from being Bombos and Ether either. And seems like Bioniclegenius is opting to do the Red Tower play. This will work out really good for him. He can go down Red Tower into the Norfair Business Center, and if he decides to go and clear Tower of Hera, we'll get that green pendant as well. Duck not finding anything useful in Skull Woods.
Charge Beam is real nice. It's good for Bioniclegenius. It'll help a lot with Super Metroid, at least bosses. You won't have to worry about ammo anymore.
Completely. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I do believe that version 11 removed the charge requirement for Ridley.
I think so. I'm not entirely sure, honestly. Spring Ball is a real convenient find as well. It's not required by any means, but players love using it anyway. It definitely saves time.
And Duck finding the book in the chest game, we'll be able to look at the Bombos and Ether tablets, won't be able to get the item, and can also get into Desert. And correction, charges requirement was removed for both Ridley and Mother Brain.
Okay.
So no longer required, since you can access enough ammo before reaching the end of the game. And Bioniclegenius not going down to Kraid, is going to go into Wreck Ship.
Yeah, this will be a required boss anyway. There's quite a few checks here as well as you're leaving the ship. So this is going to be a pretty common play.
Yeah, and he has Speed Booster, won't have to orphan any items in here. Has 5 E-Tanks, which is plenty to survive the Spiky Room of Death and the Bowling Chorizo.
Yeah, let's hope so. Those spikes do 60 damage. I think the spike platforms do more, and they can also chain damage you if you happen to be turning when you're landing on them. It's really obnoxious.
Would be nice to come in here with a suit, but you can't get everything, and there's nothing to say that one or both of our suits can't be in.
Wreck Ship is basically really out of the way, so you kind of want to just... I mean, since it has so many checks, you want to do it as early as you have access, and you're conveniently next to it anyway. Cane of Burna is nice to have. It could put a couple of damaging rooms in A Link to the Past in logic, such as the Spike Cave.
Yeah, although we also do have the cape from Mini Moldorm. It's not marked on our tracker because it leads to such little progression. But we will see Bioniclegenius heading into his first bite, Fantoon of the Wrecked Ship. Good point in chat, that charged plasma actually does a ton of damage here to Fantoon. He's got, 25 missiles. Plenty of ammo here. Shouldn't be an issue for him.
And although he does take quite a bit of damage to super missiles, you don't actually want to use them because it just sends him into this real long invincibility phase where he's constantly attacking you. And it just makes the fight longer despite doing more damage. Unfortunately, these, well, the boss and the flames it drops deal a lot of damage as well, so He's gonna need to be a bit careful here. He's almost got Fantoon down. It may take another round or so. Yeah, definitely. At least one more round. That screw attack is helping mitigate some of the damage. So, what is that? About one more shot to go. One more charge shot. And Fantoon should be down in short order. And there he goes.
All right. Well done for Bioniclegenius. It was getting a little tense. That is boss one down for Bioniclegenius. Duck, however, is on his second one into blind. Didn't find anything of use in Thieves Town, but the good news is that the key to the big chest is locked in that big chest, so we will not need to come back here with the hammer.
It happens so often for me. That's strange.
I often get the opposite issue.
Yeah. I guess I'm just really lucky then.
And that's crystal number 1 for Duck.
Is that spring ball coming into use here? Not having to use power bombs to bomb jump up. So hopefully, I'm hoping he's gonna safety save before going through the spiky room of death.
Oh, he absolutely will. Even with space jump, it's so easy to accidentally knock yourself on the electricity or on the spikes or the crushers.
Yeah, and he's not 100% consistent with space jumping in general. So you want to be real careful.
The game is an extra E-tank, so when Duck does make his way into Super Metroid, he will have plenty of help.
Interesting, going for the archery game in A Link to the Past.
Looks to be farming up a little bit of extra rupees for Zora, as well as making sure he'll have enough for that and entry into pod.
Or breaking even.
Fairly
a little bit sooner.
Yeah, there's a fairly consistent setup for this, but it only works for 3 cycles of the skulls, and you have to exit and start again.
Speaking of spiky room of death being pretty dangerous.
Yep.
Ooh, okay, he gets through at least. The good news is this is most likely going to be nothing, so he could just reset to the save station, right? Right?
I hope. Yeah. He's going to be hoping too.
The irony when you make a really out-of-the-way check and you want it to be nothing.
Alright, yeah, he's fine with skipping that heart container. Duck gonna go and turn in the smith with that mirror to combo that with purple chest. We'll be leaving hammer pegs behind without that hammer. Despite having the Titan's miss, it's really not paying off well for Duck.
Yeah, well, you never know. This is a really long game with both games in one. And
exactly. There's a lot of things that we're going to be looking for that are required that can be in very obscure places. You know, we're going to be needing those flippers for Swamp Palace. We're going to need a fire rod or bombos for ice. Oh no, wait, we don't need to do ice palace. We're going to need a cane of Samaria.
Skull Woods and Turtle Rock.
Mm-hmm. Already do have the ice rod at least, so that's out of the way.
Well, Bioniclegenius does. Let's hope apathyduck does not forget the 5-item bounty in Mini Moldorm Kid.
I imagine, unless he finds something like the hammer or the bow in Hype Cave, he's gonna go mirror, check Bombo's tablet with the book, and then mirror and do Mini Moldorm Cave, and then kind of, when he sees the speed boost, just like, oh, this was available from the very beginning. And then it'll be interesting to see if he doubles down on, not following that, or if he decides that, no, I better go follow the speed booster.
Well, going this long without finding Morphball, it feels a little scary.
Oh no, that's one of the
knowing
worst
it could be
things.
anywhere. Flippers.
Finding the flippers.
Open up more of the world. Open up all of it.
It's still okay because he can then go and combo in Mini Moldorm with his flippers checks as long as he does it from the light world.
Oh, a sword on a tablet. Very
Get some vanilla missiles in the sky.
That's a little concerning, knowing that your sword is locked behind another sword. There's always the hopes and prayers of the chat that their master sword is on the pedestal.
Shh! We're not supposed to talk about that! Alright, let's see.
Well, he has the book. He could confirm it.
That's true. That is very true. Alright, Hype Cave. If this is the hammer or the bow, this could be huge divergence once again. But no, it's pretty much garbage. So I think Duck's really only play is to do Mini Moldorm into flippers checks.
Yeah, this is real nice, having the mirror to route this in right now. It's gonna help Duck a ton.
I don't think he's gonna, save and quit right out of getting the speed booster. I imagine he will follow up with the flippers checks. But I don't imagine he'll dive pod.
We'll probably save and quit at Zora. That's generally, I mean, no matter where you're going next, it's just faster to save and quit there.
An option for him would be to go and take his portal and just use the mirror to go check Hobo, check Pyramid, check Catfish, then mirror, and do the Zora area checks to just clear that area all at once. There's that speed booster, cape, and ice rod for Duck, and let's see where he decides to go from here. And yeah, is going to go and make the route to do the flipper checks comboed with some of the East Dark World.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. The only thing he's putting off now is the Ice Rod Cave.
Yeah, luckily for him, it's not anything important, and if he completes Meridia from the back end, he can always combo it with that.
That's true.
That being one of the other two entrances that we haven't seen yet to portal between Link to the Past and Super Metroid. Alright, and Bioniclegenius is going to go and check X-Ray on his way down to Kraid.
Yeah, there was a suggestion in chat to just swim to the Hobo from the Dark World to get to the mirror spot. Swimming is a little bit faster. I think there may have been some concern of like running into walls or something. I'm not sure. Maybe it was just a force of habit. When you have boots, it would be faster to dash. on land.
But when you're as skilled at movement as Duck is, he's got very good timing with mashing his buttons for swimming. It's probably about the same either way, along with his pumping struts. Alright, Bioniclegenius gonna go and check Spazer. We're still on the lookout for, obviously, our Super Metroid suits. We'd love to see the hammer, a bow.
300 rupees. Well,
Not really. Potion money.
He won't have to farm on the archery game at least.
That's very true.
Okay, apparently throwing it there works.
Yeah, the hitbox is quite generous, or maybe Catfish has a bigger, idea of his territory than the rocks would decide.
I usually hit the rocks and then blame my emulator.
Alright, Waterfall Fairy is just Nope Tank and another arrow upgrade. And Bioniclegenius into Kraid's lair, getting that second mail. Very likely Duck will be skipping that. Bioniclegenius will probably end up with red mail, considering where it was.
Yeah. And ladies and gentlemen, it's just about time for prom. We'll see if Bioniclegenius is feeling like dancing today. We got Kraid fight here.
And
it goes down to just 3 super missiles and a missile. And if you're fast enough, you could get it almost immediately in the first round.
If you're fast enough, and if Kraid's arms cooperate, and Bioniclegenius gets it. And Duck did save and quit from Zora, but did not reset to Super Metroid. He's gonna bet on Dark Death Mountain.
Interesting.
I mean, at this point, Duck knows that speed booster could have been gotten within the first 5 minutes of the game, and he's thinking that if I gotta win this, I can't, follow that right now. That, best, worst case scenario, yeah, my morph was right there, but a middling case scenario is that it's some awful fetch quest and I can find better value here on the mountain. Alright, let's take a look at Super Bunny Cave. Oh, I get a bloomerang. That's not nothing, but it's not progression. If you're cheering for Duck, I think you'd probably want to see, what do you think, Hammer? Hammer and Hookshot Cave?
Well, I'm tempted to say nothing at all, just to downsize the amount of checks he has left in A Link to the Past, just to get him, to push him further, push him closer to that Morph Ball and Brinstar.
But on the other hand, if it's nothing, then he just has to follow the same checks Bioniclegenius has made and is going to be about half an hour behind.
Maybe. I mean, half an hour behind in Super Metroid, but half an hour ahead in A Link to the Past. There's the sword. Now he can get tempered off the Bombos tablet if he wants.
I'm going to get that mushroom from the floating island. And we'll also be able to check Ether Tablet while he's up here. And we'll also be able to check... No, can't check Spike Cave. Still waiting for that hammer.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, good point in chat. If Duck finds Varia before Morph, with the speed booster, he could obviously go and check Crumble Tower and get all sorts of goodies behind Croc. I mean, heck, Even
Crumble
without
Tower, you
Barry.
would need Morph Ball to be able to lay a power bomb. Or you could do it
Oh, you could do
backwards through
Frog Speedway. Yeah. Yeah, backwards entrance.
Is that
My
backwards
mistake.
entrance in Logic?
It would be, yes.
Wow. Okay. That's a
Oh, no,
pretty
because
okay.
it takes the green gate glitch. I'm sorry, I forgot.
Okay, that's right.
Okay, nothing on that tablet. Is he going to turn it? I imagine he's going to turn in the mushroom? Might be checking bumper ledge. Oh. Screen went black for a second. I thought he changed his mind and was going to reset to Super Metroid. Variat mushroom would be a thing.
Ooh. Okay, it gets the dead rock out of the way. Conveniently, with the hookshot, you can hit the dead rocks more than once before they freeze.
So Bioniclegenius will get his grapple beam from Paradox, and we'll have to see if he decides to follow where Duck went into Tower of Hera. It is a green pendant, but it's also a quick dungeon.
That's true.
Alright, Duck gonna go and check Bumper Ledge with that cape, following it up with Graveyard Ledge.
That select menu on Bioniclegenius' side is scaring me a little. Is he thinking of saving and quitting after this?
Well, that would mean that he's orphaning Spiral Cave. Luckily, we know it's nothing.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of players ruined by skipping Spiral Cave. It won't hurt him this time. Okay, he is playing it safe.
Not gonna go for the bomb jump strats, may not feel comfortable with it. Instead, it's just gonna climb up normally. The bomb jump only saves time if you get it right the first time. And there is the lamp for Duck. Doesn't put anything that he's already found back into Logic, but does give him the option of exploring some more dark rooms, like in Pod or Eastern.
Yeah, can you remind me where that mirror was again?
The mirror was
he didn't have Dark World access, huh?
Yeah, no, the mirror was early. It was in the well.
Right. Okay. But you wouldn't have logically have had the mitts before lamp. Interesting. No. So he did have cape and no. Okay. You wouldn't have Dark World access through Aghanim because the lamp was in the Dark World. Okay.
I mean, the only thing is if, you know, the hammer is somewhere in, I think the only thing left is Eastern. I mean, Eastern or Pod, really.
So that lamp is really interesting because it'll indicate to him that he's pretty far out of Logic and he's gonna need something to put him back in, which means he's probably missing a pretty significant item somewhere in the early checks.
I think he knows that the quote-unquote correct thing to do would be to follow that speed booster, but again, he found it at 40 minutes into when it's a 5-minute check.
Mm-hmm.
So he's going and looking at the really out-of-the-way locations that his opponent might have skipped. Okay, Bioniclegenius did not go into Tower of Hera, but looks like he's going up there again since he dead-rocked his way into Norfair. I don't believe we have any other checks left in Super Metroid.
Duck certainly does, and that's where he's headed now. Just making sure nothing's at Ice Rod Cave and then saving and quitting back to the ship. You can always get back to the ship in Super Metroid from A Link to the Past just by doing a soft reset with the button combination RL, start, and select at the same time. Just hold it down for a couple seconds and it'll... Well, I guess a split second. It's really quick, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It'll reset you back to the ship from your latest state of save.
Yes, so anytime you transition between games, your state of save is set to the ship. And obviously in Super Metroid, it's at your save station. So you can also use that button combination in Super Metroid to go back to your last save station. However, unlike, Link to the Past save and quit, you don't keep any of your items or progression in there.
Yeah, it's just a reset rather than a save and reset.
Alright, Duck gonna be on his way to get his morph ball shortly. Also, may be interesting to see what he decides to do. Luckily, there wasn't a whole lot in Bluebryn or Crateria, because Duck already went and got that hook shot from Bluebryn early. Mitts are absolutely in logic, because you can use the morph ball to get to Death Mountain, then get that early mirror to go into Hera to get the green pendant, turn in that green pendant for your glove, and then use that glove to get to the back of Escape to get your second glove. So there's no logic break required for Dark World access.
And there's Morph Ball for Duck.
I'm going to go and continue on with these pink print checks. The other option, of course, is that our hammer could just be sitting in Pendant Eastern and none of that glove shenanigans were even needed.
Yeah.
Alright, Bioniclegenius on his Moldorm fight. 6 fighter sword spins, with the last one, well, Moldorm is in an enraged.
Scratching my head a little, wondering what the intended Dark World access would be. Maybe if they find Gravity Suit, it could be from Meridia.
No, I mean, the intended Dark World access right now is the Titan's Mitts. It's getting this glove just like Bioniclegenius, or getting this green pendant, yeah. Getting this green pendant just the way he did it. Turn it in for your first glove, and then use that glove to unlock the second glove.
Right, because Death Mountain is accessible through Norfair rather than through the Dark Old Man Cave.
Exactly, and that's something that can trip up. It's something that's logic that's very specific to the combo randomizer only. Other things is, like you'd mentioned, sometimes your Dark World access is via Meridia if you get the Gravity Suit and, Speed Booster to beat Botwoon. And other things is that even though our Mire is a crystal, we may not get the flute this game, since our 4th portal is in the Mire area that leads from Lower Norfair.
Okay, Bioniclegenius getting that obscure location, that out-of-the-way location on Sahasrahla, getting his glove. This is really good news for him.
I'm not sure where he's heading with this now, because it doesn't open up anything for him, unless he's planning to fake Flipper?
Possibly. With over 1,000 rupees, you can get Zora out of the way pretty much immediately.
Will be a little bit less efficient than Duck, since he won't be able to combo that with Pyramid and Catfish.
Ice Beam was here in Edikun's room.
I don't think that Bioniclegenius checked Edikun's.
He did not. Because he got Morph Ball afterwards, after the area, and went on Blue Brinstar, and then...
Yeah, but he got his Morph Ball. I don't think he went back to Brinstar Reserve either. So we'll see if Duck goes back up. Ice Beam's not logically required for anything in this normal mode game, but it does make Turian easier and can make some movement easier as well.
It can also make combat less efficient, just having to use 2 shots instead of 1, but...
And yes, Bioniclegenius...
It's toggleable.
And yeah, question from chat. Bioniclegenius did check Waterway, he also checks Shaft Supers. Alright, nothing at Brinstar Reserve.
Nice.
Oh, beautiful. That's some pro tier strat right there.
Yeah, I don't think I've... well, I haven't tried it very much, but I haven't pulled it off yet.
Alright, is Bioniclegenius going down to Agena now? I think it must be that. What he really needs to do is just take that glove and go into the back of Escape to get his Titan's Mitts.
Mm-hmm.
So this is going to be giving Duck some time to catch up, and Duck is absolutely one of the best executionists across both games. Absolutely fantastic Super Metroid movement, great knowledge of Link to the Past strategies and tricks.
He's already done quite a bit of the Dark World, so...
And showing off, doing a short charge here at Waterway.
Yeah, it is probably faster than going all the way back and then running forward.
And getting the pseudo screw on his way out too. Alright, Bioniclegenius looks like he's gonna be taking a trip into... He has a cape equipped. Is he thinking Aga? But he doesn't have a lamp. It's either this or going into Dark Cross.
That's not good.
No, I mean, yeah, you can do it. That's really not good. Like, you can do Aga like this, but it's never in logic to do it in the dark, and this is the worst play. I wonder if Bioniclegenius has forgotten that that glove lets him do the back of Escape.
Possibly. With 2 games to keep in mind, it can be easy to forget 3 of the 300 locations.
And Fighter Sword Aga Tower is not fun. Could be freezing the guards to go and throw them at each other, save a little bit of time.
Yeah, throwing frozen guards does tempered sword damage, so...
Alright. Duck now did decide to go into Blue Bryn. Without knowing for sure, but I think that this might be a play thinking that, okay, you know what, I last location my Morph Ball. I'm just gonna full clear everything. I can't risk skipping anything else.
Yeah, so a thing to note with the ball and chain guards is that the fighter sword and the master sword do the same damage to them.
Okay.
It's the same with a few different enemies. The damage on in A Link to the Past is based off just per enemy basis damage tables, and so the improved swords aren't necessarily more damage. in the case of the ball and chain cards, it's the same damage for fighter and master sword. But it's like 4 times. The tempered sword is 4 times as strong.
Okay, Bioniclegenius made the right play in quitting out of Dark Aga, but starting at Link's house and is going to go into Eastern Palace. These are checks that we haven't seen yet. It could very well lead to the hammer, but it would put him farther and farther away from those Titansmiths. And if he has indeed forgotten about the back of escape and finds the hammer here, those Titansmiths will absolutely be a last location for him. The other option is that he might find a suit in here. Jagger, do you have any opinion about what would you rather find nothing in here, or would you rather find a hammer or a suit?
I would go with hammer. It would point him towards Dark World and just get him able to clear some more crystal dungeons. You kind of want to get to dungeon diving at this point in the game, like middle of the game.
And Duck using a nice crystal flash to refill his health before the shaft supers.
I hate these Pueos so much. I'm really bad at getting through them. He gets his Quack Medallion. I'm sure he's happy about that.
Did find an early big key in Eastern, so it's a chance that we will get all 3 items before the Dark Rooms and Bowlock portions. But not anymore. Alright, here's the last in-logic check in Eastern.
Yeesh. This is real unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, it's still possible. Yeah, it's still possible he'll find the hammer or a suit back here. It's just locked behind that lamp and graveyard ledge, which is now probably locked behind the Titansmiths. It is possible that hammer's in pod. We did get flippers in the Dark World, and could have at least checked the first chest. Duck was getting ready to do the quick turn and burn there from Bomb Teresa. I was like, no, I want that.
Seems like a bit of muscle memory, just assuming it's nothing. Opting to go for power bombs to go through the right side. I wonder, it's probably about the same whether you power bomb that and create lag, or whether you do the Alcatraz escape on the left side. And power bomb might be slightly faster. Certainly a lot easier.
Alright. Bioniclegenius resetting to Super Metroid. I'm struggling to think what other checks he has in here.
Green Brinstar. He hasn't done the Brinstar reserves yet.
Yeah, Brinstar reserves and Edakuns, which is a long out of the way check. We'll get him that ice beam. And then he may opt for some Norfair Hell runs out of logic if he can't think of anything else. We did see all of Rek's ship. Bioniclegenius did go in there with the speed booster, since speed booster was logically required for the morph ball.
Duck McGuck very quickly getting out of that little hole in the floor by shine sparking into the ceiling.
Very nicely
Pretend
done.
that was intentional.
And the question in chat, this is a normal logic tourney. So once again, just for those people just tuning in, since we are about an hour into this race, It is normal logic, which only affects Super Metroid. There's no difference in logic for Link to the Past, and normal logic excludes a lot of the more difficult Super Metroid tricks, things like mockballing, tricky wall jumps, suitless Meridia, continuous wall jump,
horizontal bomb jumping,
hell runs, lava dives. Only things that normal logic require are infinite bomb jumps, mid-air morphs, and simple wall jumps. Alright, Duck is going to go on to his Fantoon fight. This will be his first check-in wreck ship, and will be his first wreck ship boss. Bioniclegenius seemed to get an early lead, going to Mini Moldworm Cave and following that screw attack. Duck put off that screw attack since he got an early glove going through the Dark Escape, and followed that up Death Mountain, got a green pendant from Tower of Hera to get his Titan's Mitts from Sahasrahla. Bioniclegenius took the logical way up to Tower of Hera to get his green pendant, got his one glove from Sahasrahla, but did not follow that glove down to the back of Escape to get his Titan's Mitts, and that's where he is falling behind. So Duck is making up time every minute that Bioniclegenius does not go to the back of Escape.
Bioniclegenius successfully destroying every last bomb block in that hallway. Good job.
It looks like he's pausing and thinking, because he's cleared out Edacoons, he's cleared out the Brinstar Reserve. Might be trying to think, oh no, did I forget something?
Yes, he unfortunately has. Let's hope that this movement is a sign that he's remembered.
Duck had a very nice Fantoon fight.
Yeah.
Got
That's
his
a
first
pretty
Super
solid
Metroid.
time save.
And yeah, Duck will be able to make up tons of time on his movement alone, as well as that Fantoon fight. Bioniclegenius made it through, but had a little bit of issues with it. Yeah, Bioniclegenius may be considering a hell run to lower Norfair. This would be the only thing in this location. Would be able to check the Ice Beam location as well as Crumble Tower.
So a question, are the hell runs in logic in normal mode with enough
No.
V-tanks? Not
No,
at
they
all?
are,
Okay.
They're never in logic in normal mode.
Okay. It's a bit different with the standalone Super Metroid randomizer, where I think normal mode can require like 5 for Ice Beam and like 7 for Bubble Mountain.
Yeah,
But normal mode here is just flat out requires the suit.
yeah. The hard mode in the combo randomizer is similar to the normal mode in the Super Metroid standalone randomizer.
Yeah, Metroid players tend to have a pretty a high skill floor.
All right, Bioniclegenius making the right call and starting at Sanctuary. He just needs to go right. Okay, good. He's figured it out. About to get his Titan's Mitts and Dark World access shortly. Unfortunately, again,
Nice.
these will be all checks that Duck has already made and didn't lead to anything.
Well, it led to flippers.
Led to flippers, but the flippers aren't going to lead to anything. We've only got that... Ugh, and I shudder to talk about it even. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
with no hammer.
To do dungeons anyway.
No hammer. We may have to dip into Swamp Palace and get the one item chest that's available to us. The other option is having to swim all the way to Pod.
Well, you know, there is the other option to go into Ice Palace instead. But that's
we don't have
pretty
bombos
nasty.
or fire rod.
Well, no bombos, no fire rod. That is not an option. Okay.
And
I just always assume you can go there. Dang it.
I mean, we could go in there and just, you know, sit in the lobby and look at the freezer, but it won't do us much good.
You're right. You're right.
And yeah, then there's out of logic checks like Meridia and Norfair.
Nice little clip through the droid on Duck's End. I always feel like I'm doing it wrong, but to get it eventually, which I guess is how you get it. Just try.
And good point from chat. We do actually have that book to follow in Desert. Duck had checked the Bombos tablet, but did not follow that up with a Desert check because he made the right decision and went over to Mini Moldorm Cave.
Mm-hmm. Although Bionicle, having already done that, he can check some things that Duck did not.
Now we'll see where Bionicle decides to go with this routing. I imagine he will mirror Duck very similarly. One thing he may decide not to do is to go into Thieves' Town without the hammer, since there's always a chance that there is something locked in that hammer lock chest.
Very good short charge into a Shine Spark through Bowling Alley for Duck.
Bioniclegenius also skipping Skull Woods, which is something that Duck did, so it's really hard to say what kind of routing is going to pay off here. There wasn't anything important in Thieves' Town, and nothing important in that first few Skull Woods check. So while we're just going through some of the other things, let's just talk about this tournament here. So I think we had a record-setting number of entrants in it.
Yeah, 95 total entrants at the moment.
Divided into 24 groups of 4, more or less. One of the last groups is a group of 3.
I'm in the baby
this is
group.
A group. Oh yeah? So you are. This is a
group for babies.
This is a group O matchup. We've got the number 1 seed of this group, which is the top quartile of the runners, Duck, facing off against a 4th quartile seed of Bioniclegenius. And the other pair is the 2 and 3. The second quartile is Total, the developer of this randomizer, against F. Coughlin. So the battle of the rando developers.
Nice.
That's going to be a fun matchup to watch. The group stages are best of 1, double elimination. 2 will move on to the bracket stage.
It should have been a Super Metroid Zelda 1 crossover for their match. I'm going to try to broadcast as many of the races we can on SpeedGaming, so be sure to follow SpeedGaming and SpeedGaming 2 through 6 to catch all that rando action. We have a very nice sponsor as well.
Absolutely.
Rank 1 Gaming.
Yeah, Rank 1 Gaming offering a generous prize of $125 US for the first place winner and $100 for the second place winner. And they would invite you to go check out rank1.global and create your profile to discover other streamers and gamers who have similar community interests to you. The double elimination group format, though, is really nice. In the Discord, there was a lot of discussion about, I'm going to get eliminated right away, blah, blah, blah. But you know what? It's not that simple. Like, number one, rando is rando. One good check or missing one bad check can be all the difference in the world in these kinds of games. And just because, you see people who race the same time every week doesn't mean that they are necessarily the best. That's why we have these tournaments and don't just give it to the top seed.
Yeah, I know I'm not.
And besides, tournaments are fun.
Yeah, for sure. I joined just because I enjoy playing video games. That's all you really need to be able to play the video games. Just a love for it, basically. You'll improve as it goes on. This, I believe, is a double elimination groups format, so we'll be playing at least 2 games each.
Exactly. And, if all other things were equal, that means that you've got a 50-50 shot to get out of groups and get at least one more game in the bracket stage. So we're still on the hunt for hammer and suits. What do you figure we're gonna find first?
I mean, it'll be more likely to find the suit just because there are 2 of them as opposed to the hammers one. But I mean,
okay,
you never really know, do you?
So let's go specifically: hammer, gravity, or varia first. What do you figure?
Okay, fair enough. Geez, really a toss-up between the 3. I'm gonna guess gravity.
Okay, gravity would be interesting. Be able to clear everything in Meridia with the gravity suit.
Yeah, well, that's pretty unfortunate, isn't it? And Duck actually grabbing his red mail, surprisingly.
Yeah, it looked like he YOLO'd it. He just went and power bombed and jumped in there regardless.
What do you think between the 3?
I'm thinking varia. At very least, there's so many checks in Upper Norfair and the Croc area. This being normal logic, the Lower Norfair is not in logic without high jump boots and gravity. Or rather,
Or a flute.
Or a flute. A flute is an option. A flute is absolutely a 4th option that we might find.
Yeah, another obscure possibility in combo randomizer specifically.
Would give us access to Checkerboard Cave, Mire Shed, and dipping Mire without the Cane of Samaria if it is Quake to enter.
I almost missed it on Duck's side. He did take Kraid to prom.
Got the stand-up. And Bioniclegenius doing Cane to burn up, my favorite strats on blind. Nice, safe way to take care of him, especially with that early half magic. Gets his first crystal, and we are tied up on bosses.
Nice. That's 4 apiece.
So Duck
all required.
Yeah, in terms of checks, I would say Duck is very far ahead right now, since he's already done all these checks that Bionicle is about to do, and he only has the high jump morph locked items left to check. So in this case,
Duck not too far behind though.
Well, he still has all that Dark Death Mountain things to do. He still has Pyramid, he still has Catfish, he still has Graveyard Ledge and Bumper Cave, and that's a lot of walking.
That is, but if he just chooses differently and he just happens to find his items, which a pretty good chance he will, he may just end up not needing all those really out of the way checks, and he could end up saving time in the long run. But that's just kind of wishful thinking.
I have to see where he goes after turning in that purple chest. If he goes to desert or if he goes to pod, then yeah, that could be a really good play for him.
Mm-hmm. And this is exactly how randomizers can shift leads on you.
And Duck, doing a couple of these short hell runs, went to Ice Beam. Nothing there. Gonna check Crumble Tower. Gathering up a little bit of health. Has plenty for a Crystal Flash, though, and oh no! Oh, he's got plenty in reserve. I thought he only had one reserve tank.
You might want to just... Okay.
Yeah.
Can get up in time.
Yeah, do a Crystal Flash in the next room.
There he goes, taking that last bit of damage to make sure he's under 50 health so he can Crystal Flash.
And we didn't actually get to see what was in Crumble Tower, so he's got to go and dive back in.
Okay. He survives for today.
But I imagine...
Duck season.
I imagine with that check, he's probably going to do other Hell Run checks. You know, in the hard logic, Bubble Mountain you can access with only 5 energy tanks. So he's probably thinking of heading there, or maybe to Croc.
Okay, where are you going, Bioniclegenius?
This
And I need some big brain plays.
looks like a... You already checked the shovel. That's where your Moon Pearl was, buddy. It's okay, dude. Yeah. Alright, I think maybe pod. Hopefully this is pod. Or that, you know, the super big brain play of checking that first item chest in Swamp.
This is either swamp or desert. Looking like desert. Here we go.
I don't believe you saw that there was that sword on the Bombos tablet yet. And Duck coming...
Stun those with hookshot, buddy.
Duck coming back into Link to the Past, starting at Sanctuary. I wonder if he's thinking that there's something on Lumberjack.
Go left, go left. Go left. You can do it. He's going left, yes. Okay. We get some new checks from Bionicle here.
This might be a pet check from Duck.
Maybe. Well, Skull Woods at least. He can combo that in at least.
Yeah, he's already cleared most of the front of Skull Woods, though.
Oh, okay. So, well, nope. He's just going to Dark World.
I'm not sure what this is, because he's already checked Bumper and Graveyard Ledge.
Pod? Question mark? This was his only Dark World access, so...
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, it could be anywhere in the world, basically.
Yep. Alright, are we boots locked in desert? We are not hard boots locked. Gonna go take a look at the torch anyway. Alright, now we are hard.
Locked. Okay.
But it's still possible that our 2 items, including maybe the boots, are on this right-hand side.
Absolutely.
Alright, hopefully one of these 2 shows us where our progression is, and it's not in that first item chest of Swamp. Oh!
There it is.
There it is.
You don't have time, Bionicle. Go!
Alright, that is nice for Bioniclegenius finding that hammer.
Yeah, we were both wrong.
Both absolutely wrong.
And we
Gives
suck.
him actually doesn't give him a whole lot, but it's so nice to find. I think that it's much preferable to find the hammer rather than suits first.
Yeah. Yeah, it opens up... I think it opens up the fewest checks, so... I would rather open up fewer checks and be guaranteed sooner progression, personally.
Yeah, this will give him access to hammer pegs, it will give him access to Spike Cave,
The rest of
and a lot.
Pod.
Not so much the rest of Pod, because Pod could still be bow locked, but it does give us access to the rest of Swamp.
Yeah, yeah.
Swamp
I
being the
forget
most
about the
item
bow
dense.
lock, just because there are glitches to be able to get through the Mimic's room without bow. But yeah,
Alright,
that's correct. You do need bow to get past them. And
alright.
he does find a key anyway.
Yep, so we're not hard bow locked. We'll need to find 3 more small keys on this side to be sure that we don't need anything from that side immediately.
I guess it's not so much that the hammer locks most of Pod, it just makes it an easier decision to check Pod. Just partly.
And we are bow locked in the back for Pod. Logic would assume that you use that small key right here on that big key door or on the boss
Well, it could be
door.
another small key there. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it could be, but that's why it would assume that you use it in the worst way. But Duck is gonna go and I don't remember what was in our bottle, but it looks like he's gonna mimic Clip.
Just getting rid of the 2 mimics, so he only has to clip one of them.
Yeah, well, the red mimic is the only one that you can't kill with your conventional weapons. So you use a bunch of frame-perfect movements to get the mimic into the wall, and you're waiting for that mimic to start to move up.
Or the opposite direction of whichever you send him. Or I guess the same direction you're pressing. So he ignores... the mimic ignores collision for the first frame of movement because reasons. And then he's only pushed back the opposite way he's traveling. And he just zooms off to space when he's too far in a wall.
So long, mimic friend. And the link to the passcode, see no enemy sprites in the room, assumes, hey, they must all be dead, and opens the door for you.
Yep. It just wants you to clear the enemies from the room. It doesn't necessarily mean killing them.
And yes,
Apparently.
Bioniclegenius finds a high jump boots in the first chest of Swamp, which is certainly a nice item, but it would not have been worth dipping early. Alright, Duck gonna go and take those small keys, go all the way to the back, while Bioniclegenius is going to continue to explore Swamp.
So although this is a sequence break, skipping past the bow, it'll at least get him... it'll get him a lot of checks in Pod that would eventually be unlocked by bow anyway.
Yeah,
It just depends where the bow is in the logic. If it's gonna be their go mode item, this is probably a waste of time, but it probably won't be.
It's really hard to say, but yeah, knowing if you find an important item back here, it can give you a lot of information where bow isn't. Like, if you find the Various suit back here, you know the bow's not going to be anywhere in Lower Norfair.
Yeah.
And yeah, Fighter Sword is just a little bit too short to get there. You gotta boomerang it.
So I wasn't fully paying attention. He is... Oh. Interesting.
I believe he's going to set up Diver Down, but I'm not sure why he mirrored. Either he was setting up Diver Down, or he realized he flooded the key and doesn't know that you actually have to leave Swamp area entirely.
Yeah, that's an unfortunate downside with having hookshot when you enter Swamp. The boots in Pod. That's a
Ooh.
very nice find.
So that's going to be really nice for Duck, is that when he goes into desert, he will be able to get his hammer and clear desert right then and there. But is going to go and clear Eastern right now as far as he can. You know what? I don't blame him for this. It's right there in the end yet. Bioniclegenius now learning that, no, if you flood the key and you don't know Diver Down, the only option is to leave the screen and reflood the swamp.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate. Luckily, with newer tech, if you learn it, you can flood the key on purpose and then just go down underneath the water level and walk over to the key and grab it.
Yep,
And
there's
then go back up.
a tech called Diver Down that allows you to clip into the rail. You can use Cane of Samaria, or you can use a bomb setup.
Mm-hmm.
You lay a bomb, jump
maybe that's
into the
what
water.
His problem was. Maybe his problem was, like, he was planning to do Diver Down, but he forgot he didn't have Cane and doesn't know the bomb setup?
Potentially.
But go ahead, continue.
Yeah. So you jump into the water, then jump out of the water, and as the bomb explosion goes off, it'll clip you into the rail. Oh,
Holy Diver
apathyduck
is also a good name.
Apathyduck mixing the quick Stalfos kill in the Eastern room. It's one of those things that we do take for granted because we see it in every race, but you know what? It only takes missing your setup by a couple of pixels and you'll miss that Stalfos and it won't spawn on top of the pot. Because that trick relies on you spawning the one Stalfos up at the top of the room, and the other bottom Stalfos will try to spawn on top of the pot, and it can't, and then you only have the left and right Stalfos to deal with.
Yeah, you want to be generally to the left side of the pot, because the hit detection is a little skewed to one side. There's the key for Bionicle. That is a really costly time loss, unfortunately.
It really is. And when Duck goes into Swamp, he will have his boots, and having boots in Swamp is a nice time save just because everything is a straight line. You can just dash. You're taking less damage from enemies, although since they both have red mail, that's not as much of an issue.
Dang. I was hoping he wouldn't get hit. I knew it was coming.
Alright, Duck gonna go and do these two boots checks real quick at King's Tomb and Bumper Ledge, just to get rid of the north side of the map.
Ether.
Alright, that's another question mark. We may need that for Meyer. We may need that Bombos as well, since we need that for Turtle Rock.
It's a 1 in 3 chance per dungeon that one of the which medallion is going to be required.
And Bonk Rocks gives us only $20, and I imagine Duck will go and take a look at Lumberjack now. He did not check this earlier. And if left-sided swamp only leads to the map and the compass, that's going to feel really bad for Bioniclegenius, but it's map and the big key, so it's maybe a compass.
Yep. Yeah, Red Rupee is not worth the Aga defeat. It feels especially bad when you have to reflood the swamp to get the left side items and they're nothing anyway.
Alright, What's this big chest? Was left side swamp worth it? Not at all.
So Duck giving us some lore on Link to the Past. Randomizer.
He just runs out the door.
Yeah, that's what you could do with those boots. It saves a lot of time.
I mean,
And he's going back into the game.
Alright, starting from Link's house, looks like this is gonna be to desert. Does not go and check that first chest of swamp. So he'll be quickly catching up to Bioniclegenius.
Very astute in swamp. There we go. That's some good progression there.
That is a really nice progression. So that gives us all of Upper Norfair as well as Crocomire. And yeah, there's even
and
though
Red Cane.
Okay, that's
that
really
would have helped
cool.
earlier.
That would have helped a lot earlier if Bioniclegenius knew the Samaria setup for Diver Down. There's a bit of discussion in chat about whether it's better to find Varia or Gravity first. I would say that in Combo Randomizer, it's almost always better to find Varia first, because Gravity, if Gravity is your go mode, then you can just find your Gravity, dip into Meridia, and dip out using the portal. If Varia is your go mode, then having to dip into Lower Norfair requires the flute instead, and it's a long trek from the Lower Norfair portal all the way over to Ridley and then back again.
There are a lot of factors involved to figure that one out. I'll take your word for it.
And Bioniclegenius using menu strats on Argus. You can kill the puffs with a fighter sword spin, and you have to have really good menu time to make the hammer strats worth it.
Conveniently for Duck, he'll be able to full clear desert in one go. He's gonna get his hammer and a crystal.
And whatever the second item is.
An E-type.
Okay. Won't
Not
say
terrible.
no to that.
I'd scoff if it were missiles, but that's not bad.
And Bioniclegenius is going to use hammer strats on the last phase of Argus. You can actually use the fighter sword spin and ice rods, similar to the vanilla strats of using, your master sword and fire rod to do that extra damage.
He's opting to hammer upward, which just so happens to be that Argus is like above him, but the hammer hitbox is a little bit shorter when you're hammering north. So you typically want to hammer to the side or to the south just to have more leeway. But if the boss is just moving towards you, he'll run into the hitbox before he runs into you, so that's not so terrible.
That is a crystal for Bioniclegenius, and with nothing else left, looks like he is going to head to Pod. So it makes you wonder where that logical bow is. Somewhere in Norfair?
Yeah. Seeming pretty likely at this point. Okay, Bionicle's opting for Pyramid instead of Pod. He's not going to be finding his boots for a while.
Nope. And I don't know if that bottle that we had... I think that bottle we found was empty.
Yes, all the bottles in
that's right.
version 11 are empty now.
Yeah, so one thing that Bioniclegenius could do then on this route is mirror on his way to Catfish, buy a potion from the potion shop in order to potion glitch into Pod, which is a much easier way to get the mimics off screen than mimic clipping.
It allows you to prevent the camera from being fixed into the one room. Because even though they're still in the room, as long as they're off camera, it's close enough.
Alright, Duck with his fresh hammer is going to follow Bioniclegenius into Swamp. We'll get his various suit.
Mm-hmm. It's real unfortunate. The players are not allowed to look at each other's screens, so they don't know what each other have done, what each other has checked. So he's making sure not to leave out any of these lengthy checks, and it's just costing him time, unfortunately.
And good choice by
He needs to
Duck.
just go to Norfair.
Yeah, and good choice by Duck to grab this Tempered Sword. This will make his Argus fight much quicker.
Uh-huh.
Can do some dash poke strats that I'm sure Duck is very familiar with.
Argus looks so good when done fast.
Ooh, and Bioniclegenius, it looks like he's going to go and do Dark Death Mountain, which will get him a Master Sword
Eventually.
and Turtle Rock information. If the Dead Rocks would just cooperate, please.
Not a chance. This is a good high density check from Bionicle. It's just unfortunate that it won't pay off.
The one extra check he will be able to do is Spike Cave with that hammer.
Yeah. If that's something, that would be huge. Because it'll be a while before Duck goes up there.
Bombos or Fire Rod or Gravity Suit would be really great. All important blue boomerang. Duck gets his high jump boots.
I think maybe the best thing to find in Spike Cave would be Bow, because it unlocks 2 checks. So it could be basically anywhere in the game. In the games. Just having that out of the way would be fantastic.
The one thing is that there is an item on Armos. So the bow is, only locking 2 items. The item on Armos and the item on Helmasaur. Actually, I don't even know if there's an item on Helmasaur. I wasn't, unfortunately, counting in pod.
Same. I'm terrible at counting, unfortunately. I need to work on that. I should probably actually use the tracker sometime, huh?
I usually do, but I've just decided not to open it up this time. I like more work. I like buttons. I love buttons. Okay. Bioniclegenius is making his way over to Spike Cave, mirroring on this side to avoid the Lynels, and we'll also get a look at Ether Tablet and get those arrows.
Okay, Duck is not flooding the key. He's gonna get it before draining the water.
Oh, no, he's saving and quitting, not doing Spike Cave, so both runners will have abandoned that on Dark Death Mountain.
Well, let's hope it's nothing then.
Indeed, and Bioniclegenius still not going to follow that very suit. Instead, it's going to do the one last hammer check in hammer pegs. Then probably follow... No. Where's he going? Ped check, maybe? So this is a weird way to do a ped check.
Yeah, looks like it. Lumberjack? No?
No,
Ped?
he did that earlier. He did that first thing. So yeah, this is a ped check. Ped is out of logic until we find the bow and some sort of fire source for ice.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, I mean, it could be our gravity suit, could be that Bombos medallion, as long as the fire rod's somewhere else.
It's basically anything
It's
but bow. And it's just bombs.
yeah, and yeah, I would say that this is a bit of a mistake not going into Norfair at this time. Right now, Varia opens up so much for him. He didn't do any of the Hell runs, and Upper Norfair and Croc is a glut of items.
Luckily, Croc is a pendant, so he may be able to put that off entirely.
Can, but you always bet on Croc.
True.
Gonna go grab that Tempered Sword from the Bombos tablet as well. This is a really long check, though. I would be putting this off until you know you can clear Desert, because it's pretty easy then to combo getting that sword with Desert.
And there's Varia for Duck.
Yeah, and I can imagine that as soon as he's done with Swamp, he's gonna go straight up the mountain and start doing his Varia clear.
Should save and quit to Mountain, go to Norfair, but no, he's going to Sanctuary. Oh, that is the mountain.
Yep,
I didn't see the cursor move. Okay.
Sometimes it's a little tough to catch if people menu very quickly.
Yeah.
We do know that one item in Croc at Croc Escape is just 3 bombs, so we won't be seeing that. But there's the Croc E-Tank, there's the Grapple Beam, Indiana Jones, and the Cosine Room.
And we've
Nicely
seen
done
this ice check for...
Yeah, I was just going to compliment Bioniclegenius on getting that mock ball the second try just in time.
Yeah. And
that was a stuck using those poke strikes.
From Tuck, yeah. So it is possible to get a faster fight by going slightly faster. Unfortunately, if you take a little bit too long, then it's gonna shoot his puffballs out like in a wide arc, even if he doesn't have puffballs, and it just eats up a lot of time. So it's basically the same time as going slowly and just doing slashes.
Yep, if you kill all his puffs while he's in that spinning animation, Argus is just going to sit there and won't jump up to the ceiling.
Yeah, it's funny how that works, isn't it? It's faster by being faster.
Okay, Bioniclegenius not going to go and check Croc at this time, and Duck is taking Frog Speedway. So our runners are now head-to-head, but Duck has the lead with the Desert Palace clear. And is Duck just going to go straight to Lower Norfair and do a lava dive? Looks like it.
Yeah, why not?
He is more than comfortable with this. It's absolutely not required, though.
Nice little damage boost. You can just go really fast backwards by getting hit and holding, I believe, jump and the opposite direction you're facing.
This could really pay out well for Duck if he finds his bow and bombos in Lower Norfair, because then he'll be able to clear Misery Mire regardless of what medallion it is.
Yeah.
And never have to go back there. And
just skipping flute entirely is pretty nice.
And in combo rando, you know, once you pass the lava dive, correct me if I'm wrong, but gravity is of little use in the rest of Lower Norfair.
Yeah. I mean, like, it'll let you run faster through lava in, like, one room, I think. Like, right before Ridley. And that's about it. And even then, you're just taking a ton of damage anyway from the acid.
Alright, nothing at Showcase Showdown. We find our fourth sword before Speed Booster.
Alright. It's not bad. Energy tank, not bad either. Progression. I sometimes like to route this in after Lower Norfair. Maybe that's what Duck is planning as well. Because after Lower Norfair, you get spat out, like, right next to Wave Beam.
That makes sense. And I imagine he's going to dip into the mire area right now and hope that it is not Bombos to get in, and he'll be able to hit another crystal.
Okay, I was gonna say that was a net gain for Duck, but he didn't grab it, so joke's canceled.
Alright, speaking of Wave Beam, it's a piece of heart, and oh no, it is Bombos for Mire.
Okay.
So Duck will have to come back here. So this is a potential time save for Bioniclegenius. It just keeps going back and forth, and that's the thing with Rando. It is never done until it's done.
Real unfortunate that the one medallion you need is the one you don't have.
One more chance for Duck if it's in Mire Shed.
Yeah, very commonly the key tends to be under the doormat. Bombs, pretty nice. Well, at this point, not really. I mean, bombs are kind of soft lock protection in case you get stuck in a morphball tunnel without power bombs. But really, late in the game, very much not required.
Bioniclegenius gets the gate glitch and is going to Croc, since Bubble Mountain did not pay out anything. I believe we're down to, in logic, it's either Croc or it's that Spike Cave check. Looking for the bow, looking for the gravity suit, and looking for Bombos. Oh yes, and hammer pegs. Thank you, chat, for reminding me. Duck making worst room in the game look easy peasy.
Bionicle walking the four-eyed dog. Giving him a bath. Nice and clean.
Walking the dinosaur.
Yeah. Oh, that's what that song was about. Because you open the door, then you get on the floor.
Everybody walk the dinosaur.
It makes sense now.
Time frame break makes sense. 1994, 1995.
Yeah.
Super Metroid lore, you heard it here first. So what are you thinking? Where do we have to go for this logic? Is it right here at Croc? Is the game going to be that nice, or do we have to go and find some of those awful checks first?
Well, there's gravity. Okay.
And silver's for Duck.
If you wait long enough, then the game will answer for you.
I just had to ask a question.
Yeah.
I just had to ask. Alright, gravity is great. This makes everything that Duck is doing in Lower Norfair now in logic. Also gives us the ability to full clear Meridia.
For better or worse. I find that Bo does tend to be behind Ridley.
Either
Maybe
behind
it's
Ridley
just
himself
superstition.
either behind Ridley himself or in the escape.
Yeah. Magic powder, okay. A fetch quest. Hopefully he
Oh.
won't go off and do that immediate. Well, he won't, but hopefully he finds go mode before needing to use that. That is a nice safety to have, although he already has red mail. Just being able to turn anti-fairies into fairies going up the gauntlet of Ganon's Tower is pretty nice.
And Duck having a very nice fight from Ridley. Ridley cooperating with the pogo patterns, not swooping too much just as I say that, and bang! Just like that, done and done. Boss 3 down for Duck.
Yeah, just 30 super missiles and he's zombie. 5 rupees for his trouble. That's a pretty low bounty.
Yeah, still have a couple more items in the escape. And Bioniclegenius. I'm going to be curious to see if he takes that gravity suit to Lower Norfair or into Meridia, but it looks like Lower Norfair is the play.
When you're right here, might as well. Yeah, I always want to skip Crocomire, but then I look at the screen and I'm like, what the heck? Why am I in the middle of the Crocomire fight? This is weird. And then there's progression there. And I'm glad I checked.
Now, the one thing is that Bioniclegenius is also coming down here without Bombos. So that means if we don't find the flute, this could be a double dip of Lower Norfair for both of them.
Very nice speedball escape by Duck. It requires a short charge into a mock ball.
And we get that kickin' rad Lower Norfair music on Bionicle's side.
Opting to wait out the toilet instead of instead of the gate glitch. The gate glitch can be real finicky.
You're also then gambling that there's nothing at that item location. Alright, there was not anything at Fire Fleas. Same
There
with
we
the
go, we have a
spring
net game
ball.
for Bionicle.
Duck is on his way to Hoda Ruby missiles.
Ooh,
Hello,
there's a
Fire Rod.
Fittingly in the heated area. That was the source.
Who would have thought that it's that powerful?
Right?
That does give us access into Skullwoods as well as Ice Palace. One of our runners would prefer to do one other than the other.
Yeah, as recently found, like a year or two ago, the fire rod is capable of lighting torches from other rooms. There's some shenanigans. It's pretty powerful.
Alright, Duck gonna go and do his Bubble Mountain clear. Probably followed into Croc. I don't know if he would follow just the Fire Rod into Skullwoods and Ice Palace, considering Ice Palace is a pendant, and I believe he did find one item in the front of Skullwoods. And
I saw
were
lighting
you?
torches, I meant hitting switches.
Yeah, it's hitting switches, not torches. And it's not just switches, it's also capable of hitting enemies. You can set up something called, the spooky fire rod, where you use some fun features of how the Link to the Past stores. Oh no, Bioniclegenius mirror bonked and lost his mirror portal.
He doesn't need it. Well, actually, he kind of does, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's his only way back into Lower Norfair. But Maybe this might mean we didn't find Bombos down in Lower Norfair or any other kind of progression. So maybe he'll follow that gravity suit into Meridia. But yes, Fire Rod has the Fire Rod animation itself, and it also has a splash damage, and you can manipulate the position of the splash damage by doing fun things with how Link to the Past stores sprite memory. So the most useful application of it is taking care, but he's going back to Lower Norfair. Okay. So we're going to be waiting for Duck to grab his gravity suit. Most useful application of the splash damage is hitting a crystal switch in Mire to avoid having to bomb the wall or traverse the spikes. Other useful applications is to hit the first Freezor in Ice Palace without having to move sideways. You can just basically throw your Fire Rod at the torch and the splash damage will hit the Freezor.
I still need to learn the Mire one. That requires like a cane dash, right?
There's actually a lot of different ways to set it up. You can, it's not so much a cane dash, it's to place the block and then kick up dust with your boots. But it's really any kind of thing where you're canceling Link to the Past's putting something in Scylla into memory. So another option is throwing a Samaria block into a pit.
Okay.
And
it's just something I never got around to.
There's a couple of setups. There's setups that don't require the boots. There's setups that don't require the flute. But the flute boot setup is the most common application of it.
Okay.
So
the diver down and the icebreaker are two that just take like 5 minutes to learn, whereas the Mire one, I feel like, don't you have to go through like the majority of Mire before you can even do it?
Yep, and you can't use your powder because that will reset your Ancilla slots. So Mire being a little bit dangerous and people like to powder those anti-fairies, can't do that if you want to set up Spook. So at about 2 hours into the game, we're still looking for our Bombos medallion and our bow. Duck found the silvers here in Lower Norfair. However, unlike the standalone Link to the Past randomizer, the bows are not progressive, so you can find silvers and bows as separate items. Right now, it looks like Meridia are going to be our progression. We do have a couple of orphaned checks left in Link to the Past in terms of Hammer Pegs and Spike Cave. We can also now go into Ice Palace, Pendant Ice Palace with that Fire Rod, and we can clear the back of Skull Woods. Meridia is absolutely the most dense location. We can full clear it with that speed booster and plasma beam. And Duck gets his gravity suit.
A little surprised Bionicle goes and checks Fire Fleas before Ridley. I'm not sure what he was looking to find.
Yeah, he's got plenty of health.
Maybe
may have to farm. Yeah, may have to farm supers for a bit. If he wants to go for that quick kill, but he does have charged plasma, so...
Charge Ice Plasma, I believe, is 750 damage.
And Duck has...
Nice.
Yeah. And Duck has cleared now Croc, so His only options are those weird one-offs in Link to the Past or Meridia, and I think the choice is obvious, but you never know.
Correction, it's 600 damage with ice plasma, 750 with wave plasma. No mistake. So he basically has a chargeable super missile for Ridley.
Which is a bit slower in terms of DPS, but does mean that he probably won't bother farming up any supers. Especially with his health situation. One thing that can happen is if you're not used to the Ridley fight, those 10 E-tanks can turn into 5 and then 1 real quick. Not getting quite as lucky with the pogos from Ridley, and Duck has made his way into Meridia. Gonna start with Main Street. Going for this short charge on the bottom. And yeah, Bioniclegenius will have to be careful, making good work of Ridley, starting to change color with that charged ice plasma. Out of supers, though.
Yeah, I usually like to save my supers for later on in the fight, just because he goes faster later on, so you want to do higher DPS later on just to end the fight sooner. Get as few attacks in as possible, even if it's the same, roughly the same time for the fight.
Alright, Green Meridia not leading us to anything in particular. There was only a shield at Crab Supers. So Duck heading up to Yellow Meridia, I imagine. And that is Ridley down for Bioniclegenius.
Yeah, that can be a kind of nerve-wracking fight for newer players, but more experienced players, it's just another day in the office.
Depends on what you come in with. If you come in,
Sure.
without charge, it can certainly be a little bit terrifying. And if you come in, missing a suit or, on 2 E-tanks.
Luckily for combo rando, you typically save them for very near the end, so you're gonna have a ton of E-tanks anyway.
That's true.
Unless you're really spicy.
I don't believe that the randomizer logic has any minimum E-tank requirement for Lower Norfair or Ridley. It's just the matter of the suits and your ammo. Mm-hmm. And of course, any percent does it with 3 E-tanks. Which the casual runners can be a little bit intimidating. Well, okay, fair.
I think some runners will do it with 2.
Yeah, I guess it depends whether or not you get Batoon as your 3rd E-tank or not. But that's neither here nor there. We're in Rando, and we'll pick up whatever safeties we feel like.
Like it or not, because you just open a chest and there's E-tank. And there's Floof for Duck.
Alright, that's nice.
Fitting.
So we won't have to go back through Lower Norfair to get to Misery Mire.
And with the grapple in hand, he's gonna go ahead and check the pedestal of Super Metroid check tool. Little surprised he doesn't opt for the ice clip, but I guess no, this would be faster.
No, it's way faster if you have grapple, because the little slime jumpers can be a little finicky.
Right.
And it's a pretty pixel perfect trick.
I completely overestimated the size of the the pants room above the 2 grapple rooms.
Here's your coffee break check for Super Metroid. We'll be able to avoid the coffee break in Link to the Past, but not this one here.
By this point in your run, you should have consumed 200 milliliters of water to obtain optimum hydration.
Alright, Bionicle rechecking his map, confirming, yeah, he has cleared Lower Norfair. He did check Cathedral earlier on his way in. Now what Shack Tool got for us today?
A waste of time.
Only a bottle. That does mean that Duck has reset his flute, so he'll have to go back there for that. I imagine, though, his plan will be to check left sandpit, clear out Botfoon and Dragon, and then if he still doesn't find it, go back for flute when he's checking plasma. Aqueduct bleeding to whole lot of nothing. Now, the fun thing is that if Duck opts to go for the back exit to Meridia, that does put him right in line to Ice Palace.
And reset. There we go.
Bioniclegenius going for the somewhat intended strats for taking the Main Street missile, which is actually a little bit trickier sometimes, but he gets it first try.
It just feels extra bad when you miss it because you have to go through another door transition. And those can take a while.
And you're also using your supers on the gate.
Yeah, he's pretty low on supers. Luckily, there's an enemy farm like right after Batoon. You could just use grapple to quickly farm supers. Speaking of Batoon, he's down for Duck.
Little bit unlucky on the Botfoon patterns, but gets him down relatively quickly. With this kind of ammo and energy, Botfoon is not a problem. It's, again, one of those times if combo rando makes you dip into Meridia early, it can be a little bit dicey, since it is possible to soft lock on Botfoon. Do you know if Botfoon also now no longer requires Charge Beam?
I am not sure on that. Actually, it might. Although, in Combo Randomizer, you don't necessarily have to fight Phantoon if you have access to the portal in the Link to the Past.
That is very true. Only 10 sticks at precious missiles.
In any case, you definitely want either charge or a lot of ammo for Batoon, just in case you miss a bunch. Because it could softlock you.
Alright, on to Duck's last Super Metroid boss. I would say that this is somewhat unusual. I would say oftentimes we're looking for one last Super Metroid item before we finish off all of the Metroid bosses, but in this situation, we could go and take care of Mother Brain before even finishing off our 4th crystal.
Did I really say Phantoon instead of Botfoon? Dang it. I could have sworn. Alright, well. Thanks, chat, for being on the ball and correcting me.
Dragon fight for Duck. I don't know if he has He does have just enough energy to do grapple beam strats, but might want to save a little bit of energy later. We're just going to go for charged plasma and missiles. Refilling with the goop.
I don't know why, like, it's pretty easy to get the short charge in Dragon's Rim, but it feels more difficult than other short charges for no apparent reason.
I blame water physics.
It might just be like the foreground is in the way for your cues and stuff.
Duck was setting up the spike suit. I don't think he got it, though.
Maybe the faster paced music is messing with the input timing.
Only our third bottle behind Dragon. So left in Meridia, we have the plasma beam, and I think that's it. And Duck will also probably want to grab that flute from the right sandpit.
Yeah, it's pretty common to grab the sandpits on the way out.
Flute doesn't unlock anything for us, so then we're down to still the same choices between those orphaned hammer locations, the one item in Skull Woods, or Pendant Ice Palace.
Yeah, wow. Or potentially plasma beam location. That's unlocked by killing a Dragon. It'll unlock the gray door in front of plasma.
And as soon as we see what's on Plasma Beam, we will have seen all the checks in Super Metroid.
Wow. Already. That tends to happen with skilled runners.
It also happens with, the distribution of the items, where you have 100 versus 217. Bionicle is also going to go and check Shatool, and will be making the same routing as Duck, likely to reset out of this and have to grab his flute again. And Plasma's not the answer, so we've got a choice of a bunch of awful checks. What are you thinking, Jäger? Do you go for the item density in Swamp, or do you ABC, always be clearing dungeons?
Swamp was clear. You mean
ice? Ice. Sorry, I was thinking about the other awful water lock dungeon.
Yeah, well, that's only 3 items. I would prefer just always be clearing dungeons.
I guess the one nice thing is Skull Woods would combo well with hammer pegs.
Yeah.
We do know that Pyramid Fairy won't be our answer for the bow, but it could be our answer for Bombos if bow is found first.
Sure.
And yeah,
I don't see it paying off much, but I mean, it could happen.
It all depends on what we find first. Obviously, if we find Bombos first, then bow can't be in Pyramid Fairy, and it could be on its, reasonably expected value of Laser Bridge. And yes, we have cleared all of Super Metroid, chat. We have seen Gauntlet. We have seen all the speed booster locked locations. We saw the rest of the green Bryn checks that were skipped earlier in terms of Edecoons and Brinstar Reserve. We saw all of Blue Bryn. And Wreck Ship was 100% cleared because both runners went in with the speed booster. And Duck gonna go and grab that flute. Some people saying it's not worth it. I'm not sure if going back for this flute and the time to activate it is worth more time than going through Lower Norfair again.
Yeah, it's a little questionable. On the one hand, you do want to go to A Link to the Past pretty soon since you're already full cleared with Super, but being able to move a bit faster when you still have items to look for is at least pleasant.
But I guess the one thing is that we do have to go back to Kakariko anyway for Skull Woods, so the time to activate it is essentially free.
Yeah.
And that's Dragon down for Bioniclegenius. That's all 4 bosses for him as well. And Duck is just going to go check Cathedral. Saw this earlier from Bioniclegenius.
Just waiting on them to make a play back into Link to the Past at this point.
Absolutely. These two runners looking to move on to the winner's final of this Group O matchup. The loser of this game.
Sanctuary.
Okay. Activate his flute, and then I imagine Skullwoods is the play. Skullwoods into Hammer Pigs. Oh yeah, the winner of this match gets a pass to the bracket final. The loser will have a slightly longer road. Have to meet the loser of the other matchup in this group to move on to potential bracket pair.
We're getting some 07s in chat for our duck being released by a duck.
Fast travel enabled. Or was that when we got the boots? No, 2 people from each group make the bracket, so it's double elimination. So you're guaranteed at least 2 games, and if you lose your first game and make the brackets, you will have played 3 in group. The winners of the first 2 games will meet in one bracket game that will be determine the first person, and then the loser of the winner's bracket and the winner of the loser's bracket will meet to determine the last one. And I believe there was only 1 item found in the front of Skullwoods, but I may be mistaken about that.
Of course, he's gonna opt to finish off the boss first. If it has the item, then he doesn't have to worry about coming back. If it doesn't, well, you're gonna go check the back anyway.
The coin flip is that we did not find the big key to Skullwoods in the front, so it could be that Mothula has the big key and there's nothing in the big chest.
Sure.
And our item is in that bridge chest anyway.
I'm going for dash pokes to start off the fight. So Moth has a real interesting property where there are spikes running around all over the room, and well, the boss is dead already, but the spikes actually do damage to enemies if they're knocked into the spikes. They do the same damage as level 4 sword, class 4 sword damage, but the programmers didn't want the Moth to take damage from spikes, so they disabled damage from sword class 4. So if you do a spin against Moth, it'll do no damage regardless. Or if you knock him into the spikes, it'll do no damage. It'll just cancel out your attack entirely.
That does mean that in the vanilla game, if you went in there with the butter sword, you would be essentially soft locked.
Well, you could do pokes, or if you have full health, you could use sword beams, or you could use a couple other items. Cane of Samaria works technically. It's possible to kill a moth with Samaria.
Or bees. You could just fill up all your bottles with bees.
I think bees do work, but boy, good luck actually doing damage when they're like chasing them across the room.
Cane of Burna also works.
Burna, okay.
Combination of Burna and bees. And yeah, we found the big key in the back of Skull Woods, so our last item is in that big chest.
But yeah, pokes would be your best bet with butter.
Metroid is going to follow ducks into the same routing, it looks like.
Though a big difference in the randomizer for A Link to the Past and Combo Randomizer is that the fight is altered so that the butter sword is equal to the temper sword. So if you go in with butter, it just pretends it's tempered for that fight.
All right, and we do find Bombos in Skull Woods, and I like this play of Duck just not, abandoning hammer pegs while he's in the area. If this was Bo and he just left it, that would feel real bad, but I'm thinking Bo is in Turtle Rock at this point, but it's a coin flip. There's nothing saying that Bo has to be in Turtle Rock just because it's the most item dense. It could absolutely be one of the two items in Mire. It could be in Spike Cave.
Mm-hmm.
And oh yes, we have that magic powder to check. I completely forgot about that.
The runners didn't. It looks like they're both checking it right now.
Good thing that they're running this race.
And for nothing.
Okay. So right now, our runners have done essentially the same checks, but Duck is ahead by that Skullwoods clear and is going to continue to gain time because he sequence broke those boots out of pod.
Yeah, and to note, he's also ahead by that pod check.
And the desert clear.
And desert clear, yes.
Boots don't save you that much time in Skull Woods. They can save you a little bit of time in Mire. And they don't really save you that much time in Turtle Rock. Turtle Rock mostly because of all the short hallways and the platforms that you ride on.
And it still saves time for sure. It's like, it's seconds. It's several seconds. But not like tens of seconds, I guess.
And Bioniclegenius had not checked any of Skullwoods earlier, so these are all fresh checks for him. It's a little bit unusual to check the front of Skullwoods first when you have the fire rod. Generally, the strategy is to go clear the back first, and if both of your items are back there, you can skip these slower checks at the front. Duck keeping his sword beams through Mire 2, even though it took him 2 or 3 cycles to get through it. Players try to aim for the one cycle with fire rod and sword beams, but being able to keep those sword beams even when the Wizropes and the Beamos are shooting at you, pretty nice.
I'm sure it felt awful for him as a more advanced player. Like, the better you get, the worse everything feels. The irony.
No God Mire, but we would have been looking for the bow anyway. Maybe it's right here?
Okay, just a few more dungeons left. We got Pod we gotta clear. Well, Duck is pretty much done with that. Mire to clear. We got Turtle Rock to clear. Anything left in the overworld at all?
Just Spike Cave, I think.
Right, okay. Spike Cave.
Yep, so I imagine Duck will do that after Turtle Rock. If we don't find Bo either in here or in TR. And yeah, Ice Palace, which is gross, but is 100% possible.
I'm opting to reset the room instead of just pushing the blocks normally.
And yeah, all of Eastern has been checked except for the item on Armos. Green Pendant was turned in much earlier, and that was, well, it was Duck's Titan's Mitts and Bionicle's first. Alright, that's our first item, and Duck is going to go for the rail clip here in Mire. It saves 2 seconds.
Nice.
Very nicely done. I'm sure he feels very good saving those 2 seconds from Mire too. But we the chest and the peg chest, while Bionicle is on his Mothula fight with his gold sword doing tempered sword damage.
Yeah, you still don't want to do spins, but yeah, it's getting through the fight all right with his 12 hearts and red mail.
And we get our second item in Mire, a heart container. So Vitreous will not be the answer. Duck will have absolutely no issues with his Vitreous fight with silver arrows and a tempered sword.
Yeah, no kidding. With 40 arrows to boot.
Now, Bioniclegenius may be able to make up a little bit of time if he decides to go to Turtle Rock first.
What he should do with his 40 arrows is use them to craft himself a bow to shoot the remaining arrows with.
And yeah, you're right. I totally derped that we still don't have the bow, so those silver arrows do us absolutely no good.
Yeah, that took me
Thank you for not calling that out explicitly. But even with tempered sword, this is not going to be an issue. Not going to go for spin strats to take out the eyeballs. Plenty of health to take care of that.
Easy peasy. Just swing away, Duck. Just swing away.
And Bionicle still hasn't checked the bumper ledge and the graveyard ledge, so he will get his lamp at least. And it's on to Turtle Rock for apathyduck. Sorry, Duck McGuck. I don't know who apathyduck is, obviously. I mean, his name is there on the screen for his rank 1 global profile. But saving and quitting from the mountain. I think he's gonna gamble an ice pal. Nope. He's gonna go clear. He's gonna clear Super Metroid first.
Okay.
I think
apathy is his formal title, and Duck is his name.
Of course, that makes sense. Okay.
Like instead of Dr. Duck, it's like apathyduck. McGuck.
Alright, Duck hasn't done his gauntlet checks. So he'll take care of that and then maybe go straight to Turian, although that ammo and health is a little bit unreasonable for that. We'll probably reset out of Gauntlet since this is nothing.
Well, we'll probably just go and beat Mother Brain.
Like I said, though, he only has 4 missiles and 20 energy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's got it.
Yeah. I'll just hope for good drops from the Metroids.
Okay, I guess not.
Alright, and Bionicle is gonna go, and I'm not sure why he's back here. He doesn't have the big key. Dude, you need the boots.
So easy to forget.
Oh.
It's getting these key doors out of the way for later.
I guess. You still gotta kill the enemies again. And once he does the cutscene, he's gonna be, yeah, you don't have the big key, buddy. We're sorry. You can kill the Igor all you want, but he won't let you in the door.
And it's about at this point where he realizes.
Or will he get the message? Will he try to go to the door? Yep.
That moment when you have time to think feels bad.
Mm-hmm. Alright, he's gonna go into Mire as well. Similarly, fruitless checks. So Duck is firmly in the lead at this point by a Mire clear and a climb up Death Mountain.
And his desert clear as well. Oof. What he really needs to do is I guess Bionicle is gonna need to check Spike Cave, like, immediately after Mire, huh? Like his only hope, really. No, Ice Palace.
Yeah, Ice Palace is a play if he feels like gambling.
Of course, the smart play is to go into Turtle Rock and just full clear it.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunately exactly what he needs to not do.
The numbers are pointing to Turtle Rock, but the numbers aren't always right. Alright, on to Roller Room for Duck. Are we going to be lucky? Nope. And we may have to go look at the vanilla big key chest. We are on the hunt for the bow at 2:45 into this seed. This race number 1 of the 2021 V1 Link to the Past Super Metroid Combo Randomizer Tournament. Going to be lots of action in the upcoming weeks, with people trying to get all of their group stages managed. I do get the big key, but with one item from Go mode, Duck is not going to be checking that vanilla big key.
And Bionicle taking the time to visit the fishbone, giving us a nice little tour.
The room why Meyer has so many extra small keys hanging around.
Yeah, it's real nice. A nice trip through Meyer's museum.
Just a compass in that vanilla big key chest, so we're going deeper into Turtle Rock to maybe find the bow. This is your first time seeing one of these combo randomizer races. 3 to 3.5 hours is usually, average amount of time for fairly experienced runners to reach the end of it. Your first time through one of these seeds, if you're familiar with both games, you're probably looking at closer to 5 or 6 hours. But you know what? Once you get familiar with the game, it cuts down a lot.
Yeah, a lot of players don't know about the fishbone room, but if you are a fan of fish and bones thereof, I highly recommend you give out the door randomizer for A Link to the Past a shot. It shuffles in like the destinations of each door within dungeons, so you could go to the fishbone room, for example, in a lot of seeds, and have a totally new experience. And there's the bow and mimic cave.
Alright, that is Go mode for Duck at 245. So he'll be able to go straight to the boss. Doesn't have a small key in hand, so we'll have to get extraordinarily lucky, and he is not. We'll have to go to Laser Bridge for a small key. Guaranteed small key in the Crystal Roller.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's real bad for Bionicle.
Story of this seed was interesting, where there was no clear lead for most of the race. I would say up until Meridia. At that point, Meridia, with Duck having more efficient checks and having cleared more of the world, took a commanding lead with that flute and fire rod, got his bombos out of Skull Woods, and was on a tear since then. The sequence broken boots out of Pod were also a great advantage for Duck, being able to clear desert at the same time.
Yeah, I think the biggest sequence break he did was going up Dark Death Mountain, just bypassing the lamp or Norfair requirement to get up there, and just getting so much to do in A Link to the Past before even finding Morph Ball. And it just worked out this time.
It did work out. I don't know if it gave him that much of an advantage, though. Bionicle didn't get his... If Bionicle had remembered he could go to the back of Escape earlier, I think he would have gotten his Titan's Mitt similarly quickly. And could have been ahead a little bit with his early Morph Ball progression.
Yeah, true. I guess it may be more accurate to say it didn't bite him like it sometimes does.
That's fair. So, I mean, Duck will have pretty much full cleared this seed with the exception of Ice Palace and Spike Cave. And Bioniclegenius has a few other checks left on the board and didn't ever grab that lamp from Graveyard Ledge. And that was a beautiful Trine X from Duck.
Yeah, nice extra dash poke there at the end, just to not get knocked away.
Crystal number 6 for Duck will just be a quick trip into Pod. He already has the big key and a small key in hand. And then at that point, it's just to decide, does he want to clear Super Metroid after Pod by doing a reset to there? Or is he going to go climb the mountain again first and clear GT?
I reckon he'll probably clear Zelda first. It's really convenient when you beat Zelda, you can just save and quit and just immediately go back to the ship. Whereas if you beat Super Metroid first, then you have to go get to a portal to get to a Link to the Past, and then you have to figure out how to get to your next destination.
Well, the portal to Link to the Past is right there on the path to escape, so that's not much of an issue, but you still would have to flute up to the mountain.
Mm-hmm.
But you're saving yourself a mirror transition, or a save and quit.
That is true.
So, I mean, it's really niggling a matter of seconds, but...
Yeah.
And I do believe that the Mother Brain animations are slightly faster if you do Super Metroid first, since you won't have the countdown going on, and the door opens quicker once Mother Brain dies. But again, it's a matter of seconds. It doesn't, at this point,
true.
it wouldn't make the difference in the race. Duck is firmly in the lead and well on his way to take the first win in this tournament and move on to the winners finals for Group O.
I guess the biggest difference is like whether or not you go into Super Metroid and refill your ammo like now or after GT. Well, it works out the same regardless, doesn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. Because regardless of where you reset, you're going to end up back at the ship. And we know that from Duck's last path through Super Metroid when he was checking the gauntlet for the bow, he was pretty low on health and ammo. Might be hoping for an energy tank and a couple of packs of supers on the trip up GT, so he could reduce the, avoid having to refill at the ship, which can, cost a little bit of time.
And also chat pointing out that Duck did deactivate the silvers, which is a randomizer exclusive feature. It does allow you to reduce lag when shooting the bow, because the sparkles of the silver arrows are a lot of additional sprite. Well, it's just additional sprites, and just, turning that off can save seconds, especially throughout the gauntlet in GT.
Bioniclegenius making the play that if Bo wasn't in Turtle Rock, going to Spike Cave first. But that is crystal number 7 for Duck. We'll see. He is mirroring, so I imagine this is going to be the climb up the mountain. Jaeger, you want to tell about what's Duck's next move here?
So Duck is going to climb Ganon's tower, but before he does so, he's going to have to find the big key, and that could be in any one of the 22 locations in Ganon's tower basement. So if you want to get your guesses in chat, we don't... do we have a bot for this, or is that...
I don't believe we have the bot, so it's nothing but bragging rights for this little chat. But you know what? It's a nice, fun way for you to all be able to participate.
All right, so yeah, definitely get your guesses in chat, and we will ignore them. And if you guess right, good for you.
Exactly. You get to feel good about yourself.
What are you thinking it's going to be?
I like 15. I always like 15, which, depending on routing, is either vanilla big key chest or a randomizer room. How about you?
I like to pick 8, just because 8 is a pretty cool number. It's one of my friend's favorite numbers, of course. And that typically means it's going to be in the Death Bowl room, depending on the routing they do. The room with the 2 fire bars. So
Vanilla map chest.
that's always
Yeah.
a nice Link's Awakening reference is always a good choice.
And we'll see what routing choice Duck makes right now. I don't know what his favorite routes are, but there are a lot of preferred routes
He's
here,
going left
and
first.
looks like
Yeah.
left first. So the originally called Dark Magician, now called the Blaine route, I do believe. Where you go do left side first, and depending what kind of keys you find on the left side, you'll mirror and then go right.
Yeah, for some reason, typically when you find lots of keys on the left side, the big key is usually on the right, but not this time. It's the big key almost immediately. Chest number 3, item location number 3, rather. And a nice convenient wave beam right next to it.
Oh baby, so we're going into Mother Brain with full beams. Nobody gets 3, nobody gets to feel good. I'm sorry. That's just the truth of it.
Well, someone guessed 13, which does contain 3.
That is true, but you know what? I'll leave them up to decide if that feels good for them or not. But it's all for fun, and Duck is on his way into Gauntlets. Takes care of the mimics with a couple silver arrows. Had a little bit of issue in Gauntlets too, routing the mimics around.
Yes, the most important thing with the big key guessing game is that you find an excuse to feel like you were right.
Exactly. It's all about, finding it. Is it in some particular base or not? But we're in the Gauntlet, so let's talk about that. Because the Gauntlet is a cool part of Ganon's Tower with these enemies who have random movement RNG and increasingly difficult rooms with conveyor belts and spikes and Beamos oh my, and those Zyzacs that just will not cooperate with your movements.
I find this floor to be the hardest, personally.
No problem with Gauntlet 4 and Gauntlet 5. Nice silver arrow and a sword.
Nice cooperation from that Stalfos to just stand in front of the silver. And a solid... Oh, okay. 4 shots for land mullahs, but still 1 cycle is good.
Yeah, save the 1 cycle. Grabbing this safety heart here.
Yeah, 4 hearts is plenty. And he got powder, right?
He did get powder. Ooh, okay. Not even going for silver strats on Wizrobes 1 rather than the free Samaria kill. That's a nice thing there. That right there, that's a sign of somebody who's played too much rando and has to climb Ganon's Tower without the Cane of Samaria. Just about got the fire rod strat for the torches, but got hit by the fire bar.
It's a bit blocked by the sparks, but not such a big deal. He's got plenty of keys, so he could just skip this mini Helmosaur and both of the chests.
Imagine he'll go for powder in this room.
Just 1 fairy is plenty. Neuron red mail. He's not too worried about the Ganon fight at all.
Gonna go for dash strat. Oh no, he's hovering Moldorm too, and pays for it. That's why hovering is a risky strat. He would have just killed Moldorm with dashes. Could have already been across. Or alternately, you go for the Moldorm bounce.
Yeah, so falling down there changes the RNG from Moldorm a little bit, so he gets a different pattern from him, and he kills them right there. Worked flawlessly.
Exactly. Celebratory bonk on the doorway, and into the last difficult room of Ganon's tower, with the mini helmas and the ice and the spikes, and if you don't have boots, that room is a nightmare. Thank goodness he's got those boots from Pod. Bioniclegenius will have to grab those boots, but they are pretty deep in Pod, and he's going to be upset about that. He's also probably going to be checking Laser Bridge for those boots, where Duck got to skip it.
Yeah, chat a little disappointed in the lack of checks when he's in go mode. He already checked both pedestals. What do you want from him? Give the man a break.
He is looking for absolutely nothing. Getting a kind of rude Egg 2 fight. They're starting to become desynced, but he gets it done. And he is going to be on to his Ganon fight with Silver Arrows and Tempered Sword, half magic. Not going to be an issue for apathyduck. Will likely be going for the quick Ganon kill strats.
Actually, I forget. Did Duck read the pedestal, or was that just Bionicle?
No, Duck, they both read pedestal.
I thought so. Okay. It's been 3 hours. Kind of hard to remember.
Doing a combination of spins and pokes for Ganon, trying to get phase 2 done in this cycle.
Yeah, counting is pretty tricky in Ganon fight. He's basically going 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, and some other numbers. And Ganon is just round 3.
Yeah. Round 3, phase 3, waiting to see how many times he warps around. Bioniclegenius doing this TR Dark Room, which I would say is probably one of the easiest, even though it's not the safest Dark Room in the game. But double Silver Arrow from Duck, and one more to finish it off. And as we say, get a single G in chat.
G.
He is halfway done with his boss kills and just needs to now reset back to Super Metroid. Still at 47 health. I think he will take a safety save. And oh no, Bioniclegenius fell off the platform. Not okay. Duck playing with fire here. I guess he does have 200 energy in reserves.
It is faster to fight Mother Brain with the Charge Ice Wave Plasma, so the health is pretty low, but he's gonna go down to 1 health probably anyway, unless he pulls off the baby skip.
The issue is getting to baby skip. If a Metroid grabs him, or if he takes an acid bath, that 24 energy can go by pretty fast. But I'm pretty sure he does have at least 200 in reserve.
Mm-hmm. And Screw Attack helps nullify the Metroid damage as well. Yeah, I think he's opting to just be good at the game.
That's fair, and that's well within Duck's arsenal. And we're getting laser bridges from Bioniclegenius, but doesn't quite get it. Did take the safety door though, and now Duck is at a full energy tank. So he's fine. He's gonna get lots of energy now from the Metroids, even if they grab him. It's just that first room that was a danger.
Yeah, they're really giving more energy than they're taking.
And now it's all muscle memory for Duck, taking care of the Metroids with missiles and Ice Beam.
knowing how to group the Metroids here is a big help as well.
Heck, he's at 3 E-tanks now. If you're really... Oh, not anymore. I was going to say, if he really wanted to, he could still go for Baby Skip and have enough energy from Mother Brain. But now that he's down to 2 E-tanks, he would have to take the refill anyway, so he might as well just get hit by Baby.
Or use his reserves from Mother Brain. Okay, he's just gonna... He runs into the... okay. Hopefully this is okay. There's a bit of a quirk with, like, landing on those, dust, the dead enemies. I think, yeah, that's okay. And it would be nice to face right to, because for some reason the stand-up animation just doesn't exist for when you're facing right. But you also want to maximize how far left you run. So that kind of takes priority over the, what is it, 20 frame animation? 15 frame animation?
40 frames, so 2/3 of a second.
Okay. It's more than I thought.
And Bioniclegenius gets his 5th crystal. Still looking for those boots for Desert Palace.
Alright.
He'll need to make his way to Pod with the bow.
Very nice, super short charge to get a Zebtite skip from Duck. Just a diagonal Shine Spark there into the tunnel and a couple of jumps. I'm not sure the exact inputs for that. I usually just do the ice clip and fail at it, but he's making it look easy.
Duck unloading his supers into Mother Brain.
Yeah, the supers are nice for phase 1, but for phase 2, it's just much faster to use the beams.
Exactly. With full beam combo, they do much more damage than supers. If you had a ton of supers, I think supers are slightly faster DPS, but you're going to want to use charge shots if you're going to do stand-up, which it looks like Duck is going to do.
In this case, Mother Brain doesn't actually take double damage from supers, so it's only 300 per shot, whereas it's 900 per fully powered beam. And for the stand-up glitch, you want to get down to just over 700 HP, and then like right after getting rainbowed, you damage yourself down intentionally below 100, and then Mother Brain will think you're just stunned, even though you're running around and jumping and having a great time.
And as soon as the Metroid detaches from Mother Brain, we get the real advantage here for stand-up glitch, being able to do damage during the cutscene. Cuts down on the number of hyper beam shots you will have to do. If you do this perfectly, you can avoid phase 4 almost entirely.
Yeah, we'll see how many hyper beams it takes in the end. Normally it takes, gosh, I forget. Is it, I want to say 36 or something in the rainbow beam shots?
37, I believe.
37? They do 1,000 damage per shot.
I've heard how many HP Mother Brain has hundreds of times, but I can never remember it. 36,000 or 37,000, so.
And it only takes 4 shots for Duck with that stand-up glitch. And down goes Mother Brain.
Very nice. All he has left is the escape. A good minute and a half. And I can darn near guarantee we will not see an animal saving here. Not in a tournament race. He hasn't seen any other dot duns yet.
The only animal Duck's concerned about saving is himself.
Exactly. The duck, 'tis a selfish creature, 'tis.
Almost as much as the goose.
Bioniclegenius making his way through pod. This was his first pod dip. Didn't do it earlier. Still has not
Still
picked up
looking
that.
for the boots.
Yeah, and still has not picked up that lamp. The boots are in the dark maze, I believe.
Might be big chest. It's either dark maze or the big chest.
Regardless, unless he's comfortable with hammer yump, he would need to navigate that dark maze.
Yeah, having done Meyer already, I don't think he's too concerned with the dark maze.
But get
And
your
that's GG.
Get your GGs in chat for our first winner out of Group O, Duck McGuck, aka apathyduck, winning the race with an official SRL time of 3 hours, 10 minutes, and 4 seconds. And we are joined live here in chat by Duck. GGs and congratulations on the first win of the tournament.
GG.
Yeah, great work. How did that seed feel with the late morph ball and all?
Did you see it? Were you watching?
Barely.
Yeah, so, like, the worst item for me was actually the lamp, because, so, like, I went up Death Mountain early, mostly because I wanted money, because I knew, I had the glove, so I knew Zora was in Logic, I had no money, I was like, well, I'll just go up Death Mountain. It'll probably give me some stuff, but I wasn't expecting Dark World access, and I was like,
Okay.
honestly, I kind of just even forgot Hera was a crystal, because my plan was just kind of play really safe in the seat. Like, I normally never open retro, but like that's something that's really swingy, so I just wanted to get out of the way. So I went up, did Hera. Hera was nothing, handed in the green pendant. I was going to do Eastern then. Then I was like, oh, Dark World access. I'm like, okay. And I was just kind of thinking, like, okay, lamp is probably, it's like lamp or flute, and like, who cares? And then I found lamp on Graveyard Legend. I'm sitting there going, like, wait a minute, you can get Morph Ball for for Death Mountain access. I'm like, oh crap. So that's when I went back to Ice Palace, and I was like, well, the speed was also super early too, and I did that. And then nothing was in SM. Like I don't think, like, the Fire Rod in Lower Norfair, that was it.
Yeah, that was it. Everything else was in Super Metroid. Like, I mean, you had like a couple of convenience things. Yeah, you found a couple of convenience things. You found the gravity suit, I guess, at Croc. That was it.
Yeah, like that was, like, I even considered Hell Running Croc somewhat early, but like I would have gotten the gravity, and then that would have been. I mean, I had boots and grapple, so like I wouldn't have been worried. And space, like, so I wouldn't have been worried about doing suitless Dragon in the seed. I was kind of hoping I was going to be able to, and then it was just like, okay, well, here's gravity. I was like, oh, well, everything else has got to be in there, right? No, you should chase the Fire Rod into the one location it opens, and then chase that into to Turtle Rock. Apparently, is the answer.
It's always Turtle Rock.
Yeah, and then I put off Gauntlet for, like, normally I open Gauntlet every single time with Morphball, or with Burn Loop. I do Burn Loop and then just peek into Terminator and then do the loop. So when I get a weird, awkward Morphball like that, especially with speed, where I can just do Wreck Ship and then go down, I tend just to forget about Gauntlet. And I was like, oh, that's so. But like, once I saw the chain at the end, because I knew I hundoed this besides Ice Palace, Spike Cave, and that's it. So, but once I saw the logic chain of, like, the Fire Rod that was in Lower Norfair into Bombos into Bow, I was like, okay, I'm pretty sure I'm all right. But yeah, but yeah, the lamp was terrible, and then so it made me chase the Morph Ball, which led to, I thought that was going to be the answer. I was like, oh, this seed's really weird. I could have just stayed on Link to the Past literally the entire game, more or less. So
It was a blessing and a curse for Bioniclegenius, getting that speed booster early, finding the morph early, and finding absolutely nothing. Meanwhile, you were doing your somewhat slower, Titan's Mitts clear of the Dark Worlds, but, clearing dungeons, which is all you really want to do.
Yeah, I think the worst thing about the because my plan was that North Dark World, and then I was like, okay, I'll do Pod and then Eastern. And once I found the lamp, I was like, I kind of put the puzzle together. I was like, oh, I probably should go find my morph most likely somewhere. And then because I had such bad access, I had to do the entire North Dark World trek over. I mean, that was only like 2-3 minutes, and in an SMZ3 that matters a lot less than maybe like a regular randomizer. But yeah, I was about to get my boots because I was about to make that play, and then it was like, nope, because the lamp just completely threw off what I thought the logic of the scene was.
Speaking of the lamp, Bioniclegenius just picked that up here. Not sure really why he avoided Graveyard Ledge. If he comes in here for an interview later, we'll have to see, because he was in the area. He did check the bumper cave and had to go back to Skullwoods with the fire rod. So, but now is back to Pod, about to go pick up his boots. One thing that we were going to ask you is that when you did do that gauntlet check, was it going through your head that maybe I just go and clear Super Metroid, right? Or were you thinking maybe want to get a little bit more health or ammo with your 45 energy? When you did the gauntlet.
When I did the gauntlet, I had space jump and screw, like, and gravity. Like 45 is, I might as well be invincible at that point. I don't know, like, no. I mean, at the end, maybe I could have saved. I think the benefit of not saving is if I get baby skip, I can just go and fill up right afterwards if I didn't get enough health. And if I don't, then obviously if I miss baby skip, which I did, because I haven't done it in a while, it's real quick because I didn't get a lot of health. So I just couldn't do like the grouping strats that I'm used to in Metroid. So the Metroids are a little slow. So it'd probably been smarter just to save and I mean, it's close either way, but.
Well, it was a very well run race. Even if the routing got you off, the execution was on point as always. And you will get to face the winner of either Total or Fred Coughlin to come out of Group O.
We're gonna have to talk to Total about that progressive bow.
That would have been a savior this scene for sure.
A little bit. I mean, Bombos was still. I mean, even when because I got Varia, and I was just like, I figured Varia was the answer, and I was like, well, I'll just do Lower Norfair first, right? I'll just do the lava dive. I got 2 medallions. There's got to be something in the Maya area or something, right? It's like, nope. It's like, and it's Bombos. I'm like, oh, well, great. And then yeah, I found the fire rod, which is the only thing. Like I was really like if I guess the one thing is if I chased the fire rod, I would have definitely done Ice Palace.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I don't know, maybe not because I would have gotten lucky and got the Bombos right. But I'm thinking I would do Ice Palace, right? So I guess it's kind of why I finished off Norfair and then chased Gravity, because at the time I knew the fire rod was out of logic because of the lava dive.
Right. Yeah. It was a seed, that's for sure.
I was actually so out of it by the time I did the lava dive. I actually forgot I had to do one. That's why I tried to do the chronic boost. I'm like, oh right, right, I have to do this. And I was like, oh, thank God I have a lot of health, and Rando cuts this in half, so this should be easy.
There was also a discussion earlier in chat about whether or not going back for that flute was worth it rather than just re-diving Lower Norfair. But
yeah, I had the same internal debate. So I think well, I think the thing that swung it was I still had plasma to check, and then I could just do it with plasma. That's kind of what swung the decision for me. It did help it. I mean, the problem is at that point I had some really dumb locations left, right? I still had Meyer, I had Ice Palace, I mean, I had Death Mountain, like, so there was some routing efficiency, like going back over to Pod, like that right there is a good chunk of time to get to the pod warp and then go over. So I figured it was gonna be close, and I was like, I'll just get it. I think it's a little bit easier, but yeah, I'm not entirely sure actually what would have been better. I leaning towards I think picking up was the better thing to do. I mean, Lava's Dive's not too long, but it sped me up enough that I think getting it was longer, but I think it paid me back enough that it was worth it.
I guess the other thing you would have had to do is you would have had to green gate glitch to go back. That probably is a little bit faster than going through the Teresa room again.
Oh yeah. It depends on how fast you get that. Sometimes you get it first try, sometimes you get it 20th try. So I think that's close. Honestly, I bet if we timed it, it would be within 10 seconds, and flute was just the safer option. But yeah, I did consider it, so it's not the wrong line of thinking. I did sit there debating.
And lucked out in GT with that fantastic big key placement and Wave right next to it.
Yeah, I almost mirrored. I was like, yeah, I'll see if Wave's here. I was like, oh, well, it is. All right. This is literally the only thing I'm looking for was Wave. But like I had cleared so much, I'm like, it's got to be here, right? So I was just like, oh, I'll check these two. Why not? Wave would, speed you up just enough to make it worth it.
Oh, GG's and well played once again. Everyone in chat, be sure to give a follow to apathyduck and Bioniclegenius. Follow their progress through the tournament. Duck, feel free to hang out in the booth if you want to chat with your opponent after the race, or if you need to head out, we understand that as well. But congrats on the win, and thanks for racing.
Yeah, I'll hang out for at least a little bit. I got nothing else to do right now. These things tire you out, so I'll hang out.
We can talk a little bit about the tournament in general. We have a huge turnout for it, which is really fun and exciting.
It's almost double the previous tournament? Is that about right?
I think it was, 46 in the previous tournament. Maybe 54.
I wasn't in it. I don't even think I played Super Metroid. When was it?
That was in late 2018.
Yeah, no, I first played SM last February, so.
Wow. That's really impressive considering, Bionicle, you still don't have the key. Oh, no. And he almost went in again. Oh, yeah. That's the effect of when you're playing a game and thinking hard for almost 3.5 hours. It's stressful, like if you play a randomizer casually and I could do this, but when you're racing and you're keeping an eye on the SRL, thinking about that, and then when you last location something, it's really easy to forget that you need big keys for dungeons.
Yeah, these are marathon like this one, like when just having to do some of those like double dips things and like boots being fairly late, like it can just drag a little bit. Like movement items in SM were pretty good, so that wasn't too bad over there. But like, especially this, like when you have like really big chunks between finding items. So it's like I found the morph ball, found nothing, right, and then went back to the silly A Link to the Past checks, and then finally found Hammer, then found Varia. And at that point, you're like, okay, the rest of the season's gonna be straightforward, right? I'll find my last 3 items, and it's just like, but it gets so spaced out that you just get like tired. it's hard to keep up, honestly.
For sure.
That does become one other question in mind. So if you hadn't done Blueburn early to get that hook shot, are you just as likely to sequence break Death Mountain with only Hera available?
No, absolutely not. I don't think I go up there at all. The only I went up there with so that's ironic because again I hate retro early. It's just it's one of those things that it can be a really big time swing that if there's something big there or like even like morph there, right? And I clear all of Light World before I go back. That can be a pretty big chunk of time. So I was like, I'll just do that to defend. So yeah, if I didn't get, probably what I would have done I'd have gotten that speed fairly soon after I would have done the speed checks, and then found the hook shot. Then I probably would have done Death Mountain. At that point, it'd be interesting when I do Hera though, so I might put that one off at that point because everything had opened up. Potential, although I can't. I guess you couldn't get into desert. Like,
no, because that was
yeah.
hard. Dark World locked.
Yeah. Oh, and the sword on Bombos, like that's just mean. Like anytime there's a sword on a tablet, is just absolutely rude. So, but I mean, at least it was convenient with access to Swamp that I can get it before the Argus fight. But I ended up just missing the 0.
I imagine you would do Hera at the same time that Bionicle did Hera, which is after, clearing out Bryn and Wreck Ship and doing Kraid, then dipping onto Death Mountain after going into Norfair.
Yeah, I tend to... Well, this one I wouldn't have been able to, but I tend to open, like, with going to Kraid, either starting at ship or going down, or if preferably actually I like starting at Kraid and going up if I have speed, high jump, spring ball, like anything that'll get me up Red Tower. But where Morph is in weird locations and it kind of like screws my normal. Like again, like I just completely spaced on Gauntlet. Like if Bo was there, it probably could have been really bad for me.
Alright, Bionicle making their way into Ganon's Tower. Hopefully following that same left side route, but equally likely to start with Hope Route first. Regardless, Big Key shouldn't be too far behind.
Yeah, Bionicle made a really different routing choices. Not getting that hook shot, he wound up finding pretty early. I mean, he got his speed booster, Ice Rod, pretty much right away, and he went and got his Morph Ball while you were basically full clearing Link to the Past, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing with this seed, honestly, is when do you do Desert? Like I didn't have boots, I didn't have a fire source, like I'm not going in there. It's like I'm just not. Like, it was getting to the point where it was like getting down, and I ended up sequence breaking the boots. I mean, finding the lamp and then sequence breaking the boots so I could do it, and then finally Desert actually looked attractive because what had been done.
It was a big play for him. He actually did it pretty early.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I was worried about, was that, maybe just, thinking like doing the desert, chasing the book or something, getting that hammer, and then you can go right into. Oh no, is he gonna? No! Come on! That was the chest it was in.
Oh, feels bad. No.
Leaving goodbye.
Oh, that's. Can we tell him?
Well,
I mean, that happened 10 minutes ago. Yeah, he's in Turian right now, probably. So.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not gonna save and quit to Ganon's Tower for that wave beam now.
Oh, he even walked over to the other side of the room before thinking better of it. That's funny.
Yeah. Right to the chest. You usually check that last.
Yeah, I mean, I almost mirrored out because it's really easy to do in this too when it's like you have everything for A Link to the Past, because you're thinking like regular randomizer, like, oh, I've got Tempered Sword and Silvers and who cares? And it's like, oh wait, I want like Wave Beam for this unrelated game. I'm like, yeah. I mean, Wave didn't speed me up. I mean, I ended up keeping Screw Attack on and just doing a speed zip anyways. So, like it wasn't, but it helped. Mother Brain helped to stand up. So, like, honestly, pretty thin to check it. But I was like, I'll check these two, and I'll check upstairs. And that's it.
Buttersword making quick work of the gauntlet. Oh yeah, so nice using silver arrows in Wizard's 1. Just practicing your Samaria strength.
Yeah, ideally you take silvers all the way through, but Wiz 2 is impossible, and I didn't want to look like a buffoon, so I just switched. But yeah, because you could just skip the entire Samaria menu, right? You just stay on silvers, do both of those rooms, and then you go straight to Fire Rod.
Oh,
It's a nice
efficient.
proof of concept.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not. I mean, it's a no EG does it. So, but Wiz 2 is, I don't know. That one's impossible to me.
Is it like done by actual humans, or
Yeah.
is it like
It's not.
It's not actually impossible, is it?
Yeah, no. Anyone who's running no EG gets pretty good at it. Like I've done it before, like when I was actually playing that category for a little bit. But like I haven't played it in a couple months, and I forget the strat honestly. But it's like you shoot up, left. You do like I don't think you quite. No, wait. I think you can one cycle. Yeah, you can. But it's just a pain.
Yeah, in the years of speedrunning, I've noticed that task only basically means give the players a year.
Yeah. Yeah. Speaking of which, shout outs to my down grab on full halfy. Just barely missing it.
Oh, it gets the backup set up on Wizards too. That's very nice.
Except for bomb chorizo skip, that's actually humanly impossible.
Oh, it won't stop
Yeah.
people from asking about it though.
No, it will not. It will not.
Well, play on PAL, maybe.
Well, okay, yeah, PAL, you can do it. Or this, and just don't pick up more bombs and you're fine.
Yeah.
Any groups or matchups that you're looking forward to watching yourself?
We got I think Sloters and Solskjaer tomorrow. That's
Yeah.
looking forward to Solskjaer looking real dumb in Super Metroid. That's what I'm looking forward to. But looking like
Ooh.
I mean, it's Sloters. Like Sloters gonna make everyone in this tournament except for one dude look real bad.
Yeah. There's so many matches to watch now.
Yeah, we don't. There's not really like a analog to Sloters QD where it's like someone like really good at A Link to the Past, but just like hasn't really played a lot of SM. Like we don't have. It's not like Airy or Boyne are in this, right? I guess
Yeah.
would be the analogs to those guys. Despite my attempts, but yeah, falling on deaf ears.
I feel like Super Metroid is the harder one to optimize, perhaps. Does that sound right?
No, I would say that Link to the Past is harder to optimize, but Super Metroid's harder to learn.
It's kind of like, I mean, actually, it's like with Link to the Past, you're kind of playing closer to optimal. It's funny if you talk to some of the SM guys, they complain about how hard A Link to the Past is when like SM is just an objectively harder game. Honestly, like, you know, it's like for Link to the Past, it's like you lose 15 frames in every room and you don't know why. Like it's up, down, left, right, and diagonal. It's like how hard can it be? And it's just all this like hidden time loss and everything.
That's fair.
Like SM is the same way too, with like all ledge grabs and stuff. But like if you've seen a Kataz actually do like ledge grabbing and stuff, it's like way cleaner than any human's gonna do, and that's all lost frames. So like, I mean, SM I would say is still harder to optimize, but like, yeah, I mean, they're really different. I think that's what I like about it. It's two completely different skill sets, and like even getting halfway decent at both of them is really difficult.
Depends on what you're used to, right? If you're used to
Yeah, that's true.
platformers, you know, Super Metroid probably feels easier. If you're used to action RPGs, Link to the Past probably feels better. All right.
Maybe it's just jumping that gives me trouble. A lot of 2D platformers, you lose a ton of time moving vertically because you have to cut your jump short just to save seconds.
Yeah, shoutouts to Wreck Ship. That room is with high jump. Honestly, the main thing for going to PRKD is you don't have to have speed and high jump in that room, because like casually you're supposed to have it, but that room is clearly built if you didn't have them. It's like really weird design. It's like
Yeah.
just having no high jump, that room is so much easier to do clean.
Yeah, I find that's a tendency with a lot of Metroid games that they're designed to be traversable with very little equipment, even though they just give you so much power.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Luckily, Bioniclegenius did pick up a fairy earlier. Doesn't quite take a death on Ganon.
The whole
Whoop.
bottles don't never have anything is something I'm still getting used to. Because, like, I never like, get them for safety. But, like, it's not every once in a while, it's like, oh, I messed up and I have a blue potion. Like, it's nice to have. So I gotta wrap my head around the fact that I'm never gonna have like that safety net anymore. I actually like it as a change.
Yeah.
Because like for people like me, or who's like, you know, like who's really comfortable in Link to the Past, like I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna go buy a bottle, you know. But like they've bailed me out. Like I've definitely played random, and they've bailed me out. So
For sure.
it's definitely gonna punish me a little bit more in the future.
On the other hand, you know, you won't have unexpected fairies ruining your death warps.
Yeah, I mean
Also true.
sometimes you can use a fairy for some. You can abuse a fairy and get it. You know, if you don't have net, the only way to get it is to have it in a bottle. So, especially for like Spike Cave, like that's really big. Getting like extended iframes off a fairy. If the only way you can do that is by actually capturing a fairy with a bug net, like it makes bug net more important too. Like if you don't have any invulnerability items, picking up bug net is, I think, a really good idea to get to Spike Cave.
That's true. I have mixed feelings on Spike Cave. I really like it. I really like that there's potential to sequence break into Spike Cave without the required invincibility or double magic or bottles. Or, well, I mean, bottles, of course. But on the other hand, it's just logically so far down the line. It seems so rarely worth it.
Yeah, it's behind a lot of stuff, and I don't know. I just tend, if I can get it when I'm up on Death Mountain, I tend to just do it. But you know, this one we had hammer buried, like I couldn't do it too very late.
It was a nice choice that Bionicle did when I'm sure he already felt behind. I don't think he had quite seen the dot done yet when he got up Death Mountain, but did check Spike Cave before Turtle Rock, just on the one-off chance that Bo was in there. Because you get to pick up that free magic refill in Super Bunny anyway.
Yeah, it's kind of a one-way trip though. It seems better just because you got to do Turtle Rock anyways. So I don't see why you wouldn't.
It's
once you...
smarter, but if you're feeling behind, then like it could be your go mode and you won't have to check stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, it's
you won't
only...
be tempted to leave it.
I guess it's really only going to save you the 1 minute like additional climb up to TR, right? Because you go straight up, but then that climb costs time too. So I don't know. It seems it's not like a match winning play, but it's, if you think you're close, maybe.
Bionicle was also 2 items from go mode at that point, was still looking for the boots as well, and the lamp.
I mean, that's true, yeah.
There was a point where he was a little unsure of where he could go. Where was his destination?
It was getting his logical gloves from
right, the gloves.
Back of Escape.
Yeah, he had forgotten that.
Or his logical mitt.
I was thinking for a while that Duck, you having put off Brinstar for so long, were just like calculating the logic at that point. And it's real good to see that you knew exactly what you had to do.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, it ended up biting me in the ass. Like, it's kind of annoying. Like, me knowing the logic bit me in the ass, because I still, like, because the next thing I was going to do, right, was the Pod Easter. I still came back to do those, right, and it had boots there, right, and then if I snag boots there, maybe I go, like, okay, I can find my morph ball, but at this point I can do desert, let me just do desert, then I have hammer, it's like, oh, then, like, I get that, I guess at that point, I still, because there's not really like, I do swamp, yeah, I'd probably do swamp, so if I wasn't thinking about the logic, right, what I probably would have done is I would have done pot Eastern, right? Gotten the boots, gone. Okay, let me do a crystal, do desert, get the hammer, have hammer. Okay, let me do another crystal, do swamp, and get Varia and Kane, right? At that point, I don't really have much else to do. I have Varia. I go, okay, it's probably a speed locked morph ball, right? And then get that. So I think it would clean up the. I mean, honestly, that's probably 5-10 minutes, like of. I think that cleans everything up a little bit because then I can just do all wreck ship down Varia, do straight to lower Norfair, all that stuff, right? Like I would do all of SM. Basically, I would go into SM, never leave, and 100 basically do a hundo, just in the middle of a SM of a Link to the Past seed. So yeah, I mean, it was nice that like I knew where it was, and like it's just annoying that it's like there was nothing in SM. Like I was like, okay, this will be like if it was just as likely that all the stuff I needed was just there, and then it would have been go mode, and then this would have been like a half hour shorter. So it's just kind of unfortunate where stuff ended up being.
One of those things that Rando loves to do is never give you what you want.
Yeah, on the one hand, you put off those boots for so long, but on the other hand, Bionicle put them off much longer. You just never know with randos when you end up having to full clear the game anyway. Whichever choice you make pretty much doesn't matter, except for just like efficiency in checking, just like getting those couple of seconds.
Bionicle working on his Ice Zeb skip. Just trying to get the damage boost, and the Rinka, I think he's just freezing the Rinka a little too late, so the second Rinka isn't spawning quick enough.
I'm really bad at this clip for some reason. I used to be better at it, but maybe that's just nostalgia.
And Bionicle just going for the ammo strats. Nothing wrong with that at this point. Plenty of ammo to spare. You don't need that many missiles to kill a glass for Mother Brain. And Bionicle has reached his Mother Brain fight. We talked a little bit about matches tomorrow. There are 5 matches on the schedule, starting at 3:10 Eastern with Oopla versus Super Nintalier, scheduled for SpeedGaming 4, and the aforementioned Soulskis versus Sloaters on SpeedGaming 3. That's at 6:10 p.m. Eastern. We also have my Cocom Yegerji versus our tracker Icare. That's a match. How you feeling about that, Yegerji?
I haven't heard of these players before. It could go either way.
I had no idea that you guys were facing each other in round 1 here, so that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
You wanna say anything while our tracker is on mute right now to your opponent?
Not really. GLHF, I guess.
Yeah, GLHF.
Let's hope the seed is faster than this, right?
This is a pretty slow seed. I mean, honestly, the only reason this isn't a 330 is because we had all the movement items, like boots. I mean, I guess Link to the Past boots are kind of like mid-game, but yeah, some of the... I didn't think I was breaking logic that bad. I was like, oh, I'm just breaking the lamp. Who cares? And no, it turns out I I shattered it. I made it oopsies. So, but again, really weird.
Not doing the stand-up glitch. Not really that big a time save without wave beam. I mean, it's a time save, but if you don't want to take the risk, that's fine.
Yeah, there's stand-up is one of those things that's like the 5 do's and the 500 don'ts of stand-up glitch. If you do any of the don'ts, then you got to start over.
And the Hyper Beam does the same amount of damage whether or not you do stand-up or not. Some of the other matches tomorrow, we've got Maximum Varnage versus Xenoman, Pizza versus Gozengata. That'll be another good to watch match. And there are matches scheduled all throughout this week. I believe that round 1 of Swiss does have a deadline of next Monday, so all of those first round matchups will be happening. Try to get as many of them restreamed as possible. If you're interested in helping to comm or track, please join the tournament Discord and fill out the application form. We would love to get as many of these broadcast as possible, but it does require a crew on hand. So if you're interested in helping to press the buttons or talk about the game, just fill out a quick little form and we'll see if we can get you signed up as Bioniclegenius goes and takes out Mother Brain with that Hyper Beam. All that was left is the escape.
Yeah, we have a lot of matches tomorrow and Wednesday. It's gonna need a lot of volunteers for those.
Few extra celebratory Hyper Beam shots on Mother Brain.
Like a confetti beam.
One of the fun things in Combo Rando is if you do beat Mother Brain first, the escape just ends once you reach the criteria lobby. And you can take that Hyper Beam throughout the game until you take an elevator or transition back into Link to the Past.
The first time you do that, you will open the door and run through it and miss the shine. Because you're so used to I also, one time I did that because like it was just like convenient routing to kill Mother Brain, and I went all the way to Shack Tool, and I learned that Hyper Beam does not kill Shack Tool. I was very sad. Yo, did he just behemoth fart?
Yeah. Do bombs kill Shack Tool? Yes, bombs, right?
I don't know.
I know power bombs don't. That's how you actually open the wall.
Yeah, they'd be really bad if power bombs killed them.
Hero to chat, Bioniclegenius. Is this going to be a taunt or a full save?
Yeah, it's a full save. I very much appreciate it as a Metroid Fusion runner myself. Not too great to have my runs die because the animals weren't saved. There's no way to recover the ship.
So for every Super Metroid player that kills the animals, is that a fusion run that dies on Yakuza?
Basically. I mean, Yakuza is always 4 rounds anyway.
Alright, but GG to Bioniclegenius, finishing up the seed, official SRL time of 3:47:07. We'll get him in here to have a little chat about this seed.
And there he is, GG.
Howdy, howdy, can you hear me?
Yep.
Sure can. GG, well played. Congrats on finishing.
Thanks. I figured if I couldn't go for the actual win, I'd go for the moral victory instead.
There you go. Someone's
What a
got to do it, right? Nice full clear.
Yeah, didn't want it to be a full clear, but... What a seed, though. Wow.
Hey, I had like 6 locations left.
I didn't think to check Graveyard Ledge, and that's what killed me.
Yeah, I mean, there was like all of GT, but other than that, yeah.
Well, yeah, but I mean progression-wise, because Graveyard Ledge was Lamp, which was what locked Boots out.
Duck actually got Boots. He took Sequence Broke Pod a bit early. It's not like hours before you, but definitely minutes before you. And
I was feeling really good about going to Brinstar and getting Morph that early, because I felt like that was a gamble, and I just lucked out on it.
Yeah, for a
Mhm.
while it looked like you had the, significant lead while apathyduck was, getting good things, but not really huge progression. Clearing a lot of the overworld that you had to end up doing later. You got your logical glove from the green pendant after, taking the morph ball to Death Mountain. But one thing we wanted to ask you was the back of escape something that just slipped your mind for a bit? Because you seemed a little bit lost after you got that glove from Sahasrahla.
I couldn't remember what that opened up, so I just was going through everything trying to figure out what I had forgotten about. So my next thought was I had to go to Aga, and then I forgot that I needed Lamp for Aga to be in Logic. So I made it to the dark room before I realized that, and then I had to save quit out, and that was a huge time loss. And then I just sat there trying to figure out what on earth was the next thing that I was supposed to be getting. And then it finally clicked. I'm like, oh, hey, the one thing that gloves unlock. I was thinking
Yeah,
Zora for a while,
basically.
and that ended up just being nothing, so that left the back of escape.
Yeah, and that glove-locked glove was your Dark World and Death. Well, not Death Mountain access. You had access through. Right, you had Death Mountain access through the morph ball. But
Yeah.
Duck had actually sequence broken up the mountain. He had early hook shot, so he figured it would be a good play to just full clear as much as he could of the mountain, and then just dig Super Metroid later. And
yeah, that's a good play.
yeah,
just-
it ended
just
up
wanted
you
300
both had
bucks.
to full clear the as much as you could before each step.
I just had so many times where I did something and then realized I didn't have the ability to finish it and had to go back and redo it again after.
R.I.P. Desert.
That was the first time I've actually dark roomed Mire and Turtle Rock. I hadn't done the dark room on either of those before.
Oh, well
Congratulations, those
done.
are really hard. The Myra one especially is tricky to get down.
Yeah, I was just kind of guessing and checking and going, I think it's about like this. I remember the room roughly.
Mm-hmm. It's
Yeah.
really fascinating. Like once you start doing dark rooms, you realize, oh, I don't actually need to see anymore. I just know the game so well.
Yeah, you have this mental image of what the room's supposed to be, so the only question is, where are you in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think that this game wasn't decided by any one decision or any one check. It was a culmination of things. I think that, slightly different routing or slightly different logic could have swung this game a lot. Sequence breaks help, but I don't think it gave the game. And so if you want to watch it back, I would really recommend that you do.
Yeah, this is one I'm definitely going to watch back. I felt like I had the advantage for the first hour, maybe, just because I kept making so many lucky guesses that ended up being the exact progression I needed to do. But then everything just kind of went downhill after that for me.
I mean, the seed was like it wanted you to get early. Well, it didn't even want you because Morphball had nothing. That's the thing I just keep not figuring out. But it was like it's not like you had Morph and I had Dark World, and like those are the two big things. And then it just turns out everything was in A Link to the Past. But meanwhile, I'm still thinking about Morphball because I figured that's where everything was. So
yeah, I went ahead and did Wreck Ship and Kraid and all that stuff.
But yeah, I mean, as soon as I got Morph, I cleared everything but the suit areas. Like I even considered Croc early too.
Yeah, I considered doing some hell runs, but since that's out of logic, that wouldn't have gotten me anything that would get me further along.
Oh, Fire Rod.
True, very true.
But like, then are you
That's
going to
a
take
deep
that?
hell run?
Yeah, but even with, well, I mean, you had plasma. We had billion E-tanks, billion health, plasma, and screw. So
Screw
it's
attack,
like, it was like it. I was starting like with both the suits being so late. I had both of them in my mind. Like I've done the Ridley Hell run with clearing everything too. I've done it not in Go. It's not great. There was an E-tank down there, so yeah, the screw attack had an E-tank. But yeah, especially without flute, it's pretty annoying. Like normally in like RBO, you know where E-tanks are, and you can abuse that. Since you don't know here, it's real bad. So like I had thought about it, but I mean that apparently would have been the brain genius play. Just get the fire rod. But then even then, it's like when are you going to chase Turtle Rock that early? Like maybe, I guess, I don't know. Like there's a quick route for this one, but it's real hard to see.
Well, even with that, you still would have had to go all the way through Swamp to get your Cane of Samaria.
Yeah, sure. You still would have had to do desert, and you still would have to It was the desert play. Like, it wanted you to do desert at such an odd time. And I think I had the correct idea, right? Where I got the lamp and then I broke the boots. Like, because I didn't have to double dip it, but it was required double dip. Or logically, it required double dip. And I was able to break that at least.
I guess the one, with 2020, the one play would have been to, sequence break the gravity from Croc, get the flute from Meridia, and then go into Meyer area with a mirror and get your hammer that way, so you could avoid going the Dark World route at all.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, it was impossible to do Meyer that first because Bombos was behind the fire rod too.
Yeah,
so
but I mean that would be a beyond galaxy brain play, and no logical person would ever do that in a race.
It's a very ping pong seed. It sends you to one end of their game and then all the way back to the other and back and forth.
Yeah, this would be interesting as a spoiler because there's a pretty cool route through this one. It's just like doing it live. Like I think I was actually close to what you want it to do. With break up. I think you would do the break up to Death Mountain. You would take that. You would break into pod, right? Get the boots. Do desert, and then swamp. Yeah, I mean, you might. Yeah, you really don't need a hell run this because of if you would do swamp, get the Samaria right, then you could take that, get your gravity, and then the real Cosmic Brain is you're not supposed to do Meridia. You're supposed to go chase the one crystal dungeon with the one item. Like that's the Cosmic Brain one part, and then take the one thing it unlocks, and then go do an extra climb on Death Mountain, and like maybe if you put off Hookshot and Super Bunny, maybe that Turtle Rock play looks a little bit more attractive at that point, and it's worth it. But yeah, this would be a tough one to route. I don't see many people like would have skipped Meridia. I don't think, but
honestly, a tricky seed like this is the only time I had a chance against you, anyways. So that was fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, I did the whole damn thing, so
I feel like play-wise, I was doing pretty well. It's just I have a lot of routing issues I need to clean up. That's the main thing that happened for me.
Well,
thank you guys, though.
Yeah, no, you're welcome. Thank you both for running. Thanks for putting on this great show. Please follow our runners. Please follow apathyduck and Bioniclegenius. And you can follow their Rank 1 Global pages as well. The sponsor for this tournament for the first and second prize pool. Lots of more matches on the schedule, but that's all for SMZ3 tonight. Be sure to follow SpeedGaming 2 through 6. Big shout out to my co-com Yeager G. Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure calling this race.
Thanks for joining me last minute. It's a pretty long game to solo com. So I'm glad you were here for it.
Yeah, for sure. And also huge shout outs to Ikir, our tracker, and both of them are going to have a race tomorrow against each other, so that's going to be kind of cool.
Yeah. Good luck.
And
someone better save the animals.
And
any last words, anyone?
No, I think that's it. Solsky's telling me that I shouldn't have gotten the flute. Just if anyone wants in on that debate.
He was talking about that in chat too.
Of course he.
Yep. The second you went back for it.
Dude, birds of a feather. Come on.
Oh, and with that, I think we're signing off. Take care, everyone.
Nighty night.